Good morning and welcome to today's live show. Today we have to answer a question. We kind of thought this bounce was overall coming. We saw some signals that led to this bounce, and so volatility, we did need to pay attention to that. Seeing that on the 30-minute, we saw this divergence, and now we've really crossed over on this 2 hour. So this really can keep bouncing from this level. What I'll pay attention to is that 30-minute curling back up, but this is really how we found the SPY was going to see some kind of bounce, and you see we're heading towards that daily expected move. So we have to pay attention to a lot of things while doing this technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and Meta going forward, looking at AMC and GME too. So we just have a lot of things to pay attention to. Remember, this is the first thing that I said was the most likely scenario is you could see a bounce. Now we have to see if that 30-minute curls down, we might need to make a stronger base. If it doesn't curl down, then we might be curling up this 2 hour. So right now you're talking about possibly a bull trap on a 30-minute time frame, or maybe a lower high bull trap on the 2 hour. So really pay attention to how extended this move is as we are going up to that daily expected move. We know where our 68% zone is, so let's keep that in mind. Now the Qs looked like they were basing out a little bit better, right? We saw these signals. This was on the YouTube video last night. If you're not consistently watching those YouTube videos, please start. It can really help. Just like, even if you find something that's like, maybe you're like, oh, I'm not even paying attention to that stock. It is still the ability to learn is there, right? The information is there. This is a rejection divergence. These are the signals you want to be paying attention to for those 2 hours to really curl up. So we'll really pay attention to if the Qs can curl up on this 2 hour. And I just want you to notice how deep that MACD is, right? Something we talk about in the courses a lot are little things about the MACD that are important. And when it comes to swing trading, the positioning, where it is when it does cross, is very important for how you will treat this trade, how cautious you will be in this trade. So it is a learning opportunity, and those courses are on sale. So if volatility is going to remain higher, there's that $100 course, how to trade in any market, and an option strategy for when volatility is higher. That's where you learn a lot about weekly moves, a lot about divergences, and a lot about these indicators, and a lot of stuff. But it's very easy to understand. You can take it very quickly and even take it multiple times and practice just looking at charts. I think that's very helpful. And then we have the $50, that's right, you have a $50 swing trading course where we teach you about the positioning of this MACD and how you should read into things when it is lower. It's a very helpful course. We've seen a lot of swing trades in this market to the upside. So now we got to see if that's going to start to switch, and we're going to see those swings to the downside, right? That 2 hour pops up and curls back down. Ooh, that could mean some negativity coming. So let's pay attention to that. But those courses are there, and I encourage you learn, especially if you're a beginner just trying to like look at charts and things like that. It really helps, and I think that price point is just unbeatable. So I hope everyone's having a good day. I'm going to say hi to you guys in the chat in 1 second, just trying to get fully set up this morning. I did wake up early, but we decided, like, we woke up early, let's watch a show or something. So it's a lot of fun. What do I need up here? Okay, I need this up for today, and then I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think that's good. So good morning. Thank you for liking as you do come in. And what is going on this week? Let's see. JP Morgan, you will see. We'll go look at that in a second. Meta's up 9%. Sup, dude? Let's go AMC. Hey, I'm down, Ken. Good morning. Good morning, my brother. Yes, so Emmanuel, the reason for that, and it's a good thing to actually bring up, the reason my title is always opposite is because I am someone who is trying to teach people how to trade correctly. And if you're thinking of, like, I'm going to be able to react in real time, it's like if I'm just sitting here and I'm just blatantly not imagining anything that could happen, I'm not imagining any divergences, I'm not imagining anything, my ability to react is going to have to be very swift and put it together very fast, right? If I'm just like not looking at charts at all and not paying attention to the price action, not paying attention to the movement at all, and then I just go, okay, hopefully I see a divergence one day, it's more so I want to be prepared for it to make the right decision. So that's why it's always the opposite. This is true. We need to see if this is going to be a bull trap. That's why there's a question mark in the title. Okay, there's a question mark in the title because this could not be a bull trap. This could just turn up and keep going. We're going to pay attention to the signals. As of right now, 30-minute has divergence. That can reverse around trends, right? So I want to pay attention to this 2 hour. If it does roll back down, then we knew that whole time that it's a bull trap. We'll look for those bull trap signals in the volatility in the dollar. But I don't want to be thinking here, I have no idea. If I look at this right here and I go, I have no idea what's going to happen in the future. I'm just like, I have no idea. And then I see this cross up and I go, oh, I need to react. Well, if we would have looked into what can happen in the future, you were already in this move. Right? Do you see the difference? That's the difference between my channel and a lot of others. A lot of others don't try. I'm not predicting either. A lot of channels try to predict with random things. I just say this is a probable move and then pay attention to if that rolls over, because that is not going to be playing out fully. That's how I do things around here. So the reason that the video is always saying like what's happening next, would you rather someone tell you what's happening in front of you right now? Hey, we're bouncing. It's really easy to say today. That's why we said we're bouncing yesterday, right? We said the most probable move is up from here, a little bit of a bounce. Yeah, Emmanuel, and I'm just clearing it up, making sure you know, because I do that a lot. And I just want to make it very clear to everyone, because I'm sure some other people might have that same question. But the answer is, I'm trying to think of what's happening in a day or a week from now. I'm not trying to think of, oh, the stock bounced. I should already have known yesterday that the stock had a good probability to bounce, right? That's overall what I'm trying to do. I want to pay attention to the signal so I can see what's happening next or probable to happen next, and then I can react based on that. I reacted. You guys saw I did buy my volatility play when I saw the signal. Okay, boom, right here. I took that play. I managed it for a second, and it's all good. Everything's good. The SPY's bouncing dramatically, so UVXY just did a little short on that guy, and it's starting to come down pretty good. So paying attention to that. But looking across the board, someone's saying that Meta was really seeing a solid bounce here. So if this curls back up, I think it was the 2 hour. The 2 hour is curled up here. So you're still in 2 hour momentum to the upside. So that's a more important chart. I think if this would have been a more sustainable move, though, I think this is going to fade out at some point, but it could take some time, right? We could really weave up and down for a bit, and we'll see. But as of right now, that 2 hours is very negative. I think it would have been better to kind of like see a little flash down and then turn back up. Just get a little bit of a higher low. I think that would have been better for the health of this going forward, right? We dip down like this. We make that little U shape there for the cup and handle. I think that would have been nice here. Now we're getting excited. Now maybe we cup and handle right here. That would be a little bit good too. So I'll pay attention to this, but that is a solid move, right? Up 2%. And then who else was saying one? Oh, I thought you said Meta was up 9%. Meta's up 2%. Was it up 9%? Tesla, this one's starting to see that bounce, so we're probably going to see that MACD curl over. Apple starting to really curl up, and this is one that I was worried might get, like, you know, crash down just a little bit further, really scare people out, and then turn back up. But we're just turning back up. So now a lot of the charts we're going to be paying attention to are 2 hours, right? You see how that's still close to positive territory? We can see a good move here. We're actually testing the little box right now. We're gapping above that little box of resistance. So that would be interesting, and maybe get this to prolong for a little bit. And then we'll see if that's able to roll back down at any time. And what we're going to look for in this 2 hour, when it does roll up, what am I going to do? I'm going to look for weakness and momentum in here on a shorter time frame. Good morning, Scott, Bernie, Onda, Emmanuel, thank you for bringing that up. I think that was a very good thing to talk about this morning. Matthew, Joe, and Jeffrey Jones, thank you for the $1.99. I'm sorry I missed that. Thoughts on Tesla earnings for tomorrow? This is a very scary thing, okay? When we talk about Tesla and earnings in general, I just want you to immediately have in your brain, whenever you hear earnings, say, this is a 50-50 flip. You need to understand that market makers have literally come out and said, we mess with the price. They mess with the volume. They mess with all these things. They mess and put short selling problems in and things like that to make stocks where they think they are fair value, not where the supply and demand says that they are valued, where they think the stock should be valued. So it's really dependent on that, because if this earnings comes out and those are good numbers, then you would expect the stock to do well. If they say we sold some good stuff. If they say we sold good stuff, we sold a good amount, but it looks like it's really slowing down. People are missing payments on their current purchases and they're not able to pay those back. And we're seeing some returns in that, and see how good data can just be ruined by a certain topic. So that's how you really have to understand that's a 50-50 flip. Now, you can still pay attention to momentum. If you see that turn up, then the most probable move is up, but you just have a wrench in your way that can just immediately, even if you turn up right here, you turn up right here. If you do that, well, the next day they could say something bad and boom. So a lot of the time around earnings, I just pick a different stock to trade. You notice I do not trade around earnings very often. If I do, I need to see a great signal and I need to know I need to come down on that position size because I'm really just, I know there's a 50-50 flip. So pretty much I always say like earnings is gambling time, just like zero DTE. If you're not, very seasoned at it, seems like gambling to me, 95% chance to lose. And then you have a 50-50 chance. What I'm looking for are opportunities where there's a high probability. So this is where on Friday, I kept showing how the 2 hour could turn back down. This was the great trade. So I know that's probably not like the best thing you want to hear, Jeffrey, but that's really what you have to understand about earnings, and it will help you when you're trading in the long term. But as far as Tesla goes, I mean, they didn't have good numbers last time, right? They had bad numbers last time, but they said, hey, we might be doing something in the future. And then they recently came out and said, hey, we might be struggling on doing some of those things. And so we're heading down, but we are consolidating. You do have some forms of flatness here for divergence, right? This is a little bit up on the MACD, a little bit sideways. So you do have potential for momentum to take over, but just know that earnings can ruin all of that. So a lot of the time, if people like friends or something ask like, something about earnings, I just go, just know it's a 50-50 flip. Whatever signals you're seeing in front of you, yeah, if you're good at it, you can manage the trade. Yeah, I mean, you can trade it. But for the most part, you need to understand like, hey, I have to manage this tightly and tomorrow everything could be different. So Diana, thanks for joining. Frankie, welcome. Good morning. J. Cole is in for today, wanting to break out some coins. DJT is up 7% after market. And Lulu, let's go look at Lulu real quick, knowledge on the go. So we haven't looked at this in just a little bit. So we're noticing this for Lulu. We're hitting a lower point here. First of all, I just want to look at this from the daily scale. And we see how that has rolled over. So we had divergence initially, but it looks like we're trying to get tighter and tighter in this wedging before we actually break out. So now that that signal is down, it is red. This bar right here said turn off, right? Don't do no more upside is what that bar says. Now this one says down. You're waiting for this to curl up one more time for another chance, right? So on these, hey, maybe it curled up here at 292.38, and then at the bottom of this bar, okay, 286. So that would be, hey, a loss of 2.58%. Okay, so this bar tells you, hey, get out because it could go lower. That saved you from losing another 1.7%. Now you're just being patient, waiting for that to turn back up. Right, if that turns back up, you do have solid divergences down here. I think Lulu could see a big move if these divergences play out, especially if it's like before earnings. I think if it happens before earnings, that would be great. If it happens with earnings, well, it's been beat up for a long time. It's in a super support area, but it's still earnings. It's a 50-50 flip. You could break through that support and just drop. So that's why earnings is going to be, I really would like this move to happen before earnings. Some kind of good move, maybe up to this point of about 337. Something like that would be great for Lulu. But I want this to happen before earnings because this can really just, they print some bad numbers and it's game over. But they could also surprise and print some, they could have bad numbers and say something good about the economy and boom, the stock goes up. So earnings is just a rough time. Market's open, I'm buzzing right now. DJT, let's go look at that just for a brief moment. We saw some pretty dang good signals here for the turn up, right? We saw this swing trade signal right here, a little bit risky below that 200, but boom, solid move. And then we said, that's going to back off because there's a short seller problem in it, and the 2 hour is saying I'm in a pullback. So this is the 2 hours really what I want to pay attention to. Maybe even the hourly looks pretty smooth by that center line, right? So right now you're seeing some swing trade signals. You notice all of those moving averages are getting tight, which is actually a good thing for your swing trade because when you take back this 9, if you go a little bit higher, you're now above all of the moving averages. So then you're just waiting on the lagging indicator. Right now you do have the RSI down here touching that center line. You have this trying to cross above all the moving averages. That's great. Now we teach you how to do this in the swing trading course. It's 90% off right now, 50 bucks. So go grab that while it lasts. But this right here is telling me if the lagging indicator, the very last indicator, is able to do it, then we curl up right here, then positivity is the most likely option for DJT. As of right now, though, on the 2 hour, you haven't really curled over. On the hourly, you haven't curled over on this MACD to say more positivity. So right now, you have to assume that the direction is down. Are we seeing any reversal signals here? We're finally, I think, getting a 30-minute to curl up. And maybe, you know, this is where we can talk about divergence, right? Maybe we need to pop up, pop back down, create that strong base, get a nice double bottom or something like that. But I'd really look at that hourly turning up. Dead cat bounce, that's what we're trying, that's kind of like what we're figuring out this morning, right? We're just like, okay, we got to figure out, is this a dead cat bounce? You notice we hit the daily expected move right where we expected to go. We weren't able to overtake that. So as of right now, you're experiencing a 30-minute bounce for the SPY. Now this could mean, hey, we could hover here for a second and drift back down, creating that stronger base. But as of right now, you just have that 30-minute curling up, trying to get through this level. This is as high up as the market is expected to get. The SPY is expected to get for Monday. But remember, that's a daily, so you can violate that. Use it as support to head a little higher. We still have that weekly above us. We really have to pay attention to the cues. I think the main thing that's going to tell us if this move is going to be a little bigger is if this 2 hour can really cross up. And you see how it hasn't crossed yet, so we could just make a higher low or something like that first. Tesla towards 250. I think if it gets good earnings, yeah, I think 250 is pretty easy. I actually think you're going to a topside weekly expected move if that earnings is any good. I just got to load my other trading platform here. You think it goes down after earnings? That's reasonable. Let's see if anything's curling up on 2 hours. That's mainly what I want to see here. See how Apple's about to do it? It took back 225.84. Tesla probably trying to do it right now as well. You see that trying to curl up by the center line. That's great. Amazon, ooh, Amazon's still giving it up, but looks like some kind of 2 hour bounce could there. And Amazon's really a good example of like, hey, that's really far away. We could make a divergence. So NVIDIA, that one trying to curl up right here. What do we notice? Ooh, it is. So that would be a sign that we could see some kind of bounce. If that goes positive, that could be a solid move. We'll pay attention to it going forward. AMD, is that able to curl up? Not just yet, but it's trying to. Meta, is that curling up? Yes, it is. It's already curled up. But we're seeing that bounce come to fruition. We'll pay attention to it going forward. Microsoft, is that trying? Everything's trying to bounce, but are they curling up? Microsoft is curling up. That's a good sign for some positivity. Google, are you turning up? Yes, it's a good sign for some positivity there. We'll see. Remember, that's a 2 hour bar. Now, one thing about Netflix, this at earnings here actually does have a 2 hour divergence. We'll pay attention if that confirms. That can start to roll up a daily chart. So we could really see a good bounce here. Still looking for maybe even a lower high here to create that head and shoulders with this baseline towards 629, I would say. That's something to pay attention to. AMC obviously curled down on the daily. The 2 hour is going to try to curl up here, and that is when you can see a big positive move. Let's update these levels for you, by the way, real quickly while I remember, because I have the ADHD right here. $6 this week. It is going to be $5.74 actually. So $5.74, a little bit tighter, which is kind of good. That means unexpected territory is a little bit sooner. So not expecting big price action here. This is where you could see something crazy. You break through 5.74. Okay, that is going to be your level. That's your weekly expected move topside, and that is the unexpected area where you would see something crazy. So if you get past this level, you have the opportunity to either have, just like last week, a fight, right? A fight towards that level, or you get past that level, you could see some kind of gamma squeeze. That's what that level tells you. Let's do that for GME real quick. Trying to turn up a little bit towards that $25 price mark. We haven't really hit 24.56. I'm interested to see if we make a 30-minute divergence on 24.56. But as far as how high you need to get, it's going to be 28.08, so a little bit thinner as well, okay? So a little bit less is going to help you out, because that means now all we have to do is really get above 28.08 and you could see something crazy for GME. So wouldn't you like to see this 2-hour cross, right? So if that 2-hour crosses, I need to pay attention, because that could be just a swing trade. Look at this. It could just be a swing trade to the upside, right? We just see this close above all those moving averages, curl up on this MACD, get above the center line on the RSI, and that's just a regular swing trade, and it could break you through this area, or that's where you're going to see the fight, just like we did last week. GME, last week when we had that lineup, it came up to about right here, and we saw that fight come in just like 10, 20 cents away from hitting that move. So we notified you, hey, when this is curling up, this is the line that you can see something crazy or you're gonna see a fight. Now that line is right here, just so everyone's aware. Make sure to leave a like on the channel if you guys are enjoying today's stream already. I hope you are. I'm ready to look at some stonks. JPM, yes, that's right, Julius. And I think it was Julian, maybe asked this earlier, but JP Morgan, what you're seeing here are some not really the best divergences, right? So you may need to make a divergence in the near price action. Look for that 30 minutes, see how that's got some divergence in here, or at least some kind of higher low. And if that starts to go positive, you can see a good move, right? And we'll pay attention if that move maybe even has like a divergence like this, and that will roll around the 2-hour chart. These things can take time, but we'll pay attention closely. If this 2 hour is able to curl up, look for that divergence on the 2-hour. Look for this to go like that and then just drop off, because that would be a big signal that you're going to see, hey, maybe some kind of turnaround, right? Some kind of divergence here would be something to look for JP Morgan. One thing I was looking at was Bank of America. Bank of America had some extreme selling by Warren Buffett, so I wanted to take a look at it, and I wanted to show you how the 2 hours coming down. Wanted to see if that gets to that center line a little bit, maybe even fills this gap and then turns back up, and we see something like this, or we see some kind of move like that that really gives that double top, and then we have to pay attention to if it makes a handle. But I wanted to pay attention to this because of the 30 minute. I thought we might make a little double bottom here. We'll see. But as of right now, that 30 minute pretty negative, so not looking likely. Did the daily crossover. You see how up high this thing is? So we could be seeing some bank trouble. I know that Warren Buffett did sell, at least Berkshire Hathaway, I believe, did sell like billions of dollars worth of Bank of them. They sold like 1.4 billion shares or something like that. So pretty intense there. I'd be careful with the banks. Why do you have so much indicators? I actually don't. I have 1, 2, and then I kind of use Bollinger Bands and moving averages. That's 4. A lot of people will have 20 different indicators they really pay attention to. I like to simplify things, actually. I'm one of the most simple technical traders you'll probably see, because other technical traders might be doing POCs, right? POCs down here, something like that. We can go down to there, and then they'll look at, volume and things like that. We'll look at volume every once in a while, but does it really add to my trading? Like, does it add to my plan? Not necessarily. So I'm actually one of the more simple people you'd probably see trading. I just know what to pay attention to with simple indicators. Amazon tried to roll up, didn't it? But that daily really pointing down here. So let's go earlier time frame. Let's go 30 minute, because if that bounce there just turns back down, we see kind of the rejection trying to give you that higher low, but is that the best looking higher low? Not necessarily. So if we did want to, you can go make a stronger base, right? Get that to curl down, curl back up, see some kind of divergence, because that would add up right here. So let's see if we can turn down just a little bit more to cross over this MACD. That would be negativity. But right now the MACD is telling you, hey, I'm still in bounce mode and I'm trying to bounce. I'm just experiencing some weakness here. So really want to pay attention if the 2 hour actually can cross up. If the 2 hour can cross up here, you can see kind of how we would make a little bit of structure for a bounce. And then maybe that actually tears down pretty early on, and we could see some kind of head and shoulders. You see the left head, right shoulder. We could go in this little area up here between the highs, grab some liquidity and start to come down, right? So that's what I'd be paying attention to for Amazon, seeing if that 2 hour can curl up for a little bit. Tesla gonna hit 300 this year. Hey, I'm for it. I don't mind Tesla. I don't mind Tesla at all. Oh, look at that, hit 250 today. Who said it was gonna hit 250? Because someone was right. Meta, yeah, you're just seeing that in the 2 hour bounce. So this was where it's like, hey, if that 30 minute crosses up right away, boom, you see positivity. Well, boom, we see positivity. So we take that into consideration, considering the SPY and the Q's signals. we're really bouncing through that daily expected move. So if we can hold up there, I noticed that we actually opened right at it. That's impressive. We'll see if these 2 hours can start to roll up. I think the Qs were closer to turning up on the 2 hour. So that's the one I really want to watch. If that can break through, we might be at a weekly expected move on a Tuesday, and I'll be putting a video out on Patreon. So make sure to like if you are part of the Patreon. I really appreciate you being a part of the Patreon because I'm going to make an update video, especially if we see some signals up in this area. Because once again, this weekly is, hey, that 2 hour curls up for a little bit of time, curls back down, say Wednesday. We'll pay attention to that, see if there's a 30-minute thing in here or something like that. But this would tell you, hey, this is the area where the market can see something crazy, or you're going to see that resistance come in. So we'll look for reversal signals up here. Bitcoin, you guys want to look at Bitcoin real quick? Bitcoin, I was watching this on the 2 hour because I'm seeing a bunch of divergences. So I am scared that there's some drop coming, but I think the market may still bounce a little further before that drop comes. And I think Bitcoin may lead us. So like we might see Bitcoin down in a couple of days, and then the market will be going up. And then maybe like a couple days after that, we see some kind of turnaround. But you'll just notice on the 4 hour, we have 4 hour divergence now up here. So that tells me the daily can experience a ton of weakness. Where's the daily at as of right now? Well, it's within range to just go back to negative. Oops. It's in range of going negative again. So if it does, you have to see, does that turn around, get that higher low? Because that's a pretty good move. Or do we just turn completely around and create that stronger base? That's something to pay attention to. But the main thing we need to know as of right now, we're looking for those future events, right? But this daily can cross down. That most likely would tell me, hey, the direction is down no matter what. Whether it stops here, whether it stops here, whether it doesn't stop and keeps going, the direction when this crosses is down on the daily scale until we see some basing out and turning back up. As of right now, you have 4 hour divergences all across that, so, and 2 hours all across. So it's really looking like we're going to pull back here, at least for some kind of turn down, and then we'll see if this crosses. If it's going to be brief, that'd be awesome. Use those moving averages. If it's going to cross, then we might have to go a little deeper towards that 200 for the lower, higher low. And if not the 200, then we might make a strong base. If we don't make a strong base, it might mean some really bad things are happening for Bitcoin. All right, let me do some looking over here. I gotta make sure to keep an eye on some things this morning. Let me switch over to the Qs again real quick on this daily. Look at that, but daily's very far from crossing. So mainly just seeing if this 2 hour can cross up. That would be a sign for a possible swing, but it's a little bit deeper into negative territory. So it does have potential to be some kind of pop and drop back down, because that weekly expected move is a little bit right in front of us. Actually, if we just have another move like we just did, you're almost there, right? We're pretty much like 3 points away if we just get a strong move here. Like this could literally pop up for today and turn right back down. So we could pop up for today and tomorrow with some slow building bars and then turn back down. So really want to pay attention to that as the weekly expected moves have been shifting lower and lower. All right, let's see. Yeah, Joe Biden is no longer in the running. Very interesting there, huh? See if volatility gives us a signal as well. We can pay attention to this really starting to drop off now. So we could see some extreme positivity here if volatility really drops off, gets that retest. And I think that's the most likely scenario as of right now. Is this is just a pullback. So as of right now, this is just a pullback, and I think that 2 hour could turn back up. We'll see. Good move. Hourlies are probably turning up, but those things are pretty negative. So 30 minutes are up. There you go. We'll see if this needs to make a stronger base. But for now, that Q is probably trying to go positive now, huh? Ooh, it's not really that close. So we could still fade this. I wonder if we fade this at some point. It doesn't look like it. Let's go look at the dollar real quick, seeing that start to build up. While we do see this bounce in the market, we did have the dollar building up before the market opened, so that is something to pay close attention to. That tells you, hey, there might have been a little bit of selling coming in last night after the buying, right? The dollar went down and then immediately went back up, so we could already be seeing some selling come in, but the market goes higher, so let's just pay attention to the signals. 2 hour crosses up, we should expect some kind of positivity. What you'd more so want to see if you're going to head higher is you get to this level, you kind of break down for a little bit, kind of flag out like this, almost giving you like a V-shaped cup and handle. See if that thing can build up over time, and then see if that turns up again over in this area towards Friday. I think that would be good if we just see kind of a lull for the week. Okay, I'm going to leave you guys on the SPY just for a brief moment. I'm going to go use the restroom real quick, and I'll be back in about 2 minutes, all right? Be back in 2 minutes. Great time to like the video, isn't it? We're back. We're back. Back in action. Steve's not been on that Sava train. Let's go look at it again. Whoa! There's that 2 hour divergence. Looks pretty sexy. Looks pretty good. Well, if the daily's turning up, then I don't think it's too late. Yeah, the daily's turning back up today pretty strong, so. You could still create structure to head higher. See how we kind of have this line here? So if you wanted to make a real thin, like grabbing of liquidity, you grab this right here, you see that move up, you dip down, and then you grab that to head higher, kind of in this area. I like the look. MACD settings are, I think they're pretty much basic. Well, honestly, it's 12, 26, 9 EMAs on the close for the source. That's it. Right there. Nothing crazy. Style, you know, I get rid of that yellow line or whatever. Can't remember where that is. I don't know why I can't see where that is. Am I being silly? The 0 line, maybe? I don't know. No, that's the center line. Yeah, I don't have that signal line on. Oh, wait, no, I'm thinking of the RSI. I'm sorry, I do have that signal line on. I'm being dumb. Any change in Disney? We can go look at Disney again real quick. This is one that we showed kind of how to invest over time, and right now you're not really seeing those signals. Now, and Disney did curl over on this 2 hour, which told you, hey, this is a very high likelihood to turn down, to create a divergence, if not just drop lower. So ever since that bar, we're heading straight down. So right now, this is just saying, hey, I'm going down. I have no signals of turning up. We have no 30-minute signals of turning up. Now you could see some oversold bounces and things like that. But as things keep adding up, like, is this a good setup? Well, looking at the monthly scale, it is negative, and if that keeps turning down, you might just break through this 200. Looking at the weekly scale, I'm sure that is pointing down. So you're kind of seeing, hey, if that weekly pops up, though, I can see a pretty strong move for a few weeks. We'll pay attention to that, but on the daily scale, you're still just crossing back down. Okay, so when you cross back down, now you can make another point of divergence and you can pay attention to it for some kind of bounce higher. But this one did not play out. The 2 hour management of the daily trade is what you should be doing there, and you saw that crossover, so this negativity shouldn't really surprise us too much. But you're getting rid of that tapering again, right? You're getting rid of this little tapering here. You're starting to break below just a little bit. Let me see if I can. Okay, I could just use a straight line. I'm being silly. Like, let's go with the wick there. You see how you're breaking through the tapering, so things are getting a little dramatic for Disney to the downside, which is great. I mean, if the monthly can turn back down, that would be a good sign for some positivity, right? So you saw the cross up of the MACD right here, and boom, positivity. Now we're curling back down, so if that crosses down, we're still negative. Maybe we're able to make a divergence down here, or we're just going to give it up, and maybe this is some kind of like weird head and shoulders going on here. So that's what I'll look for as far as the macro side of things. As far as the 2 hour or something like that goes, well, we just want to pull that up for a second and say, hey, there could be a divergence right here, right? There still can be divergence here. If you see that 2 hour turn up, then that daily can turn back up. So we'll pay attention to those things, but it looks pretty bad, like, overall. Like, I'm not saying there can't be an upside move, but this thing just keeps turning down. So if you just keep turning down, you see it. Look at all the divergences here, and they only led to, like, this tiny little bounce here. This led to this. This over here, we'll see if it makes a divergence, but looking pretty negative. Palantir. This one looked a little risky, guys. It really did. The 2 hour rejection divergence is there. This is one we talked about in the video briefly yesterday, just saying how this bar right here told you rejection, came back down below the 9. So that told you, hey, the direction for now is down. Now see if that's able to turn back up, but for now that direction is down. If that daily crosses over, you might get daily momentum to go down. So everything that we said in the video is overall playing out right now for Palantir. Daily pullback, right? We kept talking about a daily pullback for Palantir, whether that's brief, turns right back up, or whether that's elongated, right? We go to a 50 and then we turn back up. We'll see. Because this is so positive, this is way up here on the MACD, I have to think about if that turns back up, because it's going to be a lot of work to go negative unless we just get a flash crash type of scenario. Nice job, Steve. Yeah, and it might be a prolonged shakeout, Scott, on the daily scale. We'll see. And then we just got to see if that thing turns back up. Kind of like GameStop and AMC, right? We're waiting for those dailies. See if they could turn back up. This one here is starting to curl down just right now. So let's go look at a 30-minute for this real quick. Looking at this, we're getting pretty darn close to the 24.56. So this is where we want to see some kind of bounce. Doesn't have to, though. AMC is sitting at 501, pretty much right where it opened, or right where it closed on Friday. See if that's able to turn up, because you do have divergence for AMC. Closed. We'll add more later. Hey, congrats, Steve, though. That's a solid move there from that stock you were paying attention to. Just saw a Kamala advertisement right before your video. Ew. Gross. That's a... Oh. Kamala. I just remember back when she was vice president, and a lot of like friends of mine actually voted because Kamala was there, and I was like, why are you voting for her? And they said because she's black and a woman, but I was like, I thought she was like Native American or something too. I was like, is she black? I didn't even know, but I was like, imagine your reasons for voting for someone is solely based on race and gender. That's crazy to me. That's just to me. I mean, people are gonna vote that way. That's fine, whatever. But it's just like you're taking race, like, isn't the whole point of America to be like, hey, let's look at the other stuff? Yeah, I vote. Yeah, Scott. There you go. You take a look at Palantir. Yeah, we're curling over on the daily scale. So what we were saying last night is coming to fruition. This rejection divergence right here, that bar telling you the most likely thing is down right here. That did curl back below the 9. That's telling you downside. The reason we were paying attention to this is because I was like, now that daily can roll over, and that's what's happening today. We're seeing that daily rollover. We'll look at the 20, we'll look at the 50, but you're looking like you're going to get a daily pullback here for Palantir. While everything else bounces. Yeah, Palantir wasn't the most clear setup though, no assumption. So I don't want to like hate on you for that, because even myself, like I wasn't very much so wasn't paying attention to it to take a trade. I was just like, that looks like the most probable move, but did I take a trade there? No. Hope you have a good week. I literally have $0 left to trade with. I'm all in on AMC. Even if it takes 5 years to hit $10 and double, I can wait. Hey, that's a perfectly fine. That's kind of the sentiment you should have. Now I'm using an amount that's not going to hurt me in playing options too, but AMD's climbing. Yeah, I saw that up 2.7% a second ago. Really paying attention if these 2 hours just rotate up though. That's all we have to really see here, because AMD finally giving that divergence down towards the top of our zone. Very, very cool there. Looking at that rejection divergence, if you want to count this as a rejection divergence, I would understand. If you look at a 15-minute, you're going to see it clearly. We rejected around these areas. We kept rejecting in the same area, getting us closer and closer to going positive. Now we're there. So you did have all the divergence across this for a solid bounce. And so you could see this 2 hour turn up, and we'll pay attention to that going forward. SPY starting to give up the gains a little bit here. We'll see. I mean, there's always going to be little 5-minute pullbacks and things like that. We just have to see if things start to go negative, if 30 minutes start to cross back down. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I saw gold being weird again, just really dropping down, not able to turn back up. SMCI turning down, really telling you, hey, I need to make a stronger base. So a lot of stuff saying, hey, we might need to make a stronger base. But Netflix got some good signals there. Happened about 30 minutes ago. 2 hour has the divergence, so we'll see if this sees a big move. you want us to find a, thank you so much for the $10 short Fridays, but you want us to find a stock that purely sells Japanese mayo, purely sells that QPI mayo. I'm down. God, I should just make my own company. Home builder stocks. Ooh, which one are you looking at, Jonathan? I mean, it could be. No assumptions. If you're managing the trade, try never to be nervous about it. Just be like, I know what I'm doing. You know, have that confidence behind it. Manage the trade. Netflix curled up on the 2 hour. So now you could say, okay, if the 30-minute curls down, that's going to be a bad thing. The 30-minute just curled up. So if that goes positive, this could be a big move. PHM. Let's see that one. Ooh, some bearish stuff going on here. Some weakness in momentum, not necessarily bearish, just weakness in momentum. And thank you again for the $10 Short Fridays, donating to the channel. Really appreciate it. We see the 30 minutes, so now we want to look at the 2 hour and see what's going on here. Looks like you're going to see a 2 hour pullback as of right now. That's what we'd have to say about it. Look how high up it is. It's very high up, so the potential to turn up at any time here will be there. So what you want to more so look for now is if you see a significant drop, look for that to bounce a little bit and taper off, kind of give you that downward move that tapers a little bit, that goes flat, that then starts pointing up. As of right now, you're just starting to go negative. So really a time where you're just starting the pullback, in my opinion. But we'll see if that thing curls up, right? We're managing the trade at this point. I'm up 10K today. Hey, congratulations, Steve King. There you go. Now gives it like GME is like, help me out. GME couldn't even experience a bounce here. That's crazy. GME could go all the way down towards $22. We'll see though, it's getting pretty oversold. Did Roaring Kitty sell? No, this is the short sellers sold off the market last week to now press down GME and AMC. I think if they're successful in pushing it down a little bit more, then we might see a bigger bounce in the market actually, because they pulled the market down to really take profit on that, I think, to fight the stock. So overall, I would say they pulled the market down for a certain reason. The only way we know for sure that the GME AMC thing is popping off is if the market continues to go down while GME actually continues to go up. That's how we know, like, oh, okay, this is adding up. Good morning, Orchid Tran. We're going down, down. Steve King says we're go down. Uh-oh. I think the 30-minute for the Qs is what I really want to watch here. If that curls down, then yeah, it's kind of game over for a bounce in the market. And then we want to see if volatility can turn back up. If volatility turns back up here, that would be crazy. Get above 1683 pretty confidently after having a divergence. Just getting rid of that divergence would be insane. I need to make a new ranges for IWM. My eyes are itchy. VVIX really dropping off too. So even though the VIX holding up just a little bit here, VVIX still just really dropping off there. TLT, solid little bounce. 30-minute curls up. See if that thing can go positive. Weirdly enough, you have hidden divergence here. Let's take a look at this because of all that stuff going on last week. Still heading down, not a good sign. This is the one where you want to say, you know, the tapering is awful right here. If you didn't bounce from that level with some kind of tiny divergence or some kind of bounce, well, then that means that there's some extreme weakness here. Remember, we were looking at this on the monthly scale. If that thing curls down, not a good sign. Weekly scale, you already confirmed the divergence, so the direction was down. We really used this on Saturday. If you didn't watch that video, go watch it, because this is one of the stocks that we were like, are we going to follow this stock from here? Hey, that's good. No assumptions. That's good for your trade setup, isn't it? Netflix not showing the worst signals. Up for fun at 400%. Yeah, you took profit on it and you made some money. Now you're letting the rest run. I think that's perfectly, like, that's diligent. It's over for the Qs. So we're saying it's over for the Qs, but has the 30-minute really curled down yet? Not necessarily. Has even a 15-minute curled down yet? Not necessarily. It's just going positive. So that could be it. Like, that would mean to me maybe the SPY needs to curl down and actually see some kind of 30-minute divergence created, right? But we'll pay attention to it throughout the morning here. As of right now, you're seeing the Qs bounce up. So they're still holding, even at the wick, so I'm not like worried. The SPY looks weaker for sure. SPY looks weaker because you're chopping down below the opening bar. You can see 5 minutes, if they're able to curl down, curl back up, those things can happen. Oh, I think if they really want to hold the market up, you got to say, like, they don't want the market to go down, obviously, or else they would, the GME AMC thing would just be happening. So they don't want the market to go down right now. So that tell me, okay, maybe I do need to pay attention to things like AMD, things like Netflix, things with these looks that don't look very bad that can start to turn up into positive territory on the 2 hour. That's really what I want to pay attention to. NVIDIA already doing it, right? NVIDIA already saying like, hey, I'm going to go higher. But how high can it really go? I mean, now that's where a lot of people have questions, and that's what you get in this channel. That's why you should like the videos, just because we actually give you some align, the best support, the best resistance to pay attention to over on Patreon. And I can immediately go look at that and just go, okay, I shouldn't expect this to get up above this area right here. So if we do experience some kind of 2 hour bounce and 30-minute divergences within that 2 hour bounce, then I know there's weakness. So I can pay attention to that, I can pay attention to how the market looks, and I can pay attention to the volatility. And I can see right now the most likely scenario is we're bouncing. As long as this bar holds for another hour and a half, we're bouncing, is what this tells me. And then I have to change my thinking if that changes. Amazon's starting to build back up. We'll see if that thing can cross. Let's see some other ones. Solid move from Tesla. We'll see if that thing can cross. We'll see, because right now it's starting to give up those moving averages. You see that. But if we hold a strong green bar here, this is still a strong bar. If you just imagine, there's green all right here. That's still a strong bar, right? So if we close like that and then we turn up on this MACD, we could see another big move. And look at that. We have a weekly expected move for Tesla as well. It has a huge amount of volatility, okay? And that makes sense because earnings is right around the corner. But this thing could go all the way up towards 270, you know, maybe even a little higher than that by the end of the week. So we shall see. 2% move from Meta. That one's already curled up on the 2 hour. So we're seeing if that thing will fade at some point. Microsoft curled up, I believe, right? Yeah, Microsoft curled up, Google curled up. So the statement here from a lot of the stocks across the board is they all want to still continue to bounce. Now we're just seeing if the Qs can confirm some kind of upward move, but it usually doesn't happen in one shot, especially if you're going to experience weakness in an area later. It's not going to just go like boom, boom, right? It's going to go up and then go down and then go up and then go down and then go up. And then you'll see if there's weakness in this overall move, maybe a little 30-minute divergence is there, right? So we'll pay attention to weakness in the 2 hour bar. As of right now, well, we're doing the 68% zone, right? 68% zone for the day is here. And now we're closing back within that because we hit it very early. SPY, now we're closing back within that because we hit it very early. So you don't have to turn up here. Nothing is turned up saying extreme positivity. It's just that volatility is really starting to drop off and try to wick back up. So we'll see from this area, the 30-minute, if that curls up, then I shouldn't expect less volatility. I should expect more. If I had to with Tesla, if I absolutely had to take the play, I would play the signals in front of me, play the trend that's in front of me. Is the daily good? Okay, well, the daily's pulling back right now. So I should assume a bigger pullback as of right now. So weirdly enough, daily momentum is probably the most important. So since that's saying pullback, I would still be negative on Tesla going into earnings, but I'd want to more react afterwards. That's why it's tough, because this is a 50-50 flip and it's a positive trend in positive territory, but the signal right now is telling me pullback. The 2-hour signal right now, though, is telling me upside. So it kind of depends. Well, it's actually telling me still downside as of right now. Yeah, you're seeing 2 of the signals, but that hasn't crossed up. If this crossed up today, I would start to talk differently, right? I think I believe in the 2-hour chart, and I think if that 2-hour just turns up, I think the most likely direction would be upside, right? So I'm really just paying attention to the signals, but if this isn't turned up before, then the most likely thing is it's going to turn down, right? So if this is not turned up before the earnings, then my most likely play would be actually still downside. But if it does turn up, then I'd have more of a fight in my head which way I want to take it. I think it most likely, though, I think we're going to end up turning up this MACD. I really think we're going to see a higher move from Tesla. We'll find out. Can GME go back to 20? Most likely not this week. Most likely not this week. Most likely next week it could. But as of right now, you're at your support. Okay, we're at a support. We're at the point where the 2-hour can turn up. So if I start to look at these type of things, then I might say, ooh, I'm a little worried to take that Tesla play, right? So, and if I do take that Tesla play, it's just a 2-hour turn up. So that can be very brief. We can make a divergence, all kinds of things like that. So as of right now, you don't really look like you're going to head towards $20 this week. That would more so be next week if we experience maybe some kind of bounce and then that drops back off, then we start to keep heading lower. That's where I could see it happen. Or if we head lower from here, then we bounce, then we cross back down. That's when I would see a $20 moment. As of right now, we're hitting our support, right? 24.56. We'll see if we can close below it. If that 2-hour turns up, you notice it would be like right there, right? We'd be right in this area to get above that 28.08. Carry is turning down. Oh, golly gee willikers. Now, this we have to assume is just 2-hour pullback. This is not, very dramatic by any means. You're seeing the dramatic thing for a second, and then you're bouncing. So you want to see that continue to see dramatic price action. Right now, you're in a 2-hour pullback. If that turns up, we could see positivity. 30-minute, did it kind of tell us about this? Well, it did. Okay, you had the flatness here, and then we came up for this blip kind of telling you, hey, this might just be some kind of pullback at this point because it doesn't look very clean, right? It's down, or it's up now. Here, the angle from this one to this one is up. So that would tell me I only have it on the RSI, so this is most likely some kind of pullback. See if that can turn up on the 30-minute. If it doesn't, you might be in a bigger 2-hour pullback, and then you want to see if that maybe goes down to, say, the 50 and then turns right back up. Gets that 9 to kind of do this, and then you cross, and then you do this, and you go, okay, that's a highly probable upside move. So for banks here, regional banks, I'm not necessarily like scared they're going to drop off a cliff or anything. Actually, I'm always scared they're going to jump off a cliff, right? I'm always scared about that. But right now, the signals are just telling me, hey, 2-hour pullback. Oh, we're a little glitchy. Give me a sec. Sorry. Let me know if you were able to hear what I said about regional banks, because I know that we kind of blipped for a second. Can GME go up to 30? If you get above 28.08, then yeah, as long as the short sellers aren't fighting GME, then yeah, it can get to 30. I think it could get to like something between $60 to $80. If we could just turn up, we have to be turning up on these things. We have to see like turn-ups of these MACDs, right? So we're starting to try to base out. We have to see that 2-hour turn up, and then I think you have a good shot to go to 30. I think you have a good shot to go test some higher levels if you can see some gamma squeezing. Because none of this caused the real gamma squeezing. It almost did, and then they fight the stock. So they know these levels very well, and we can use the options data to give us those levels, 28.08. Hopefully the chat is still working. God dang it. I saw that it froze for a sec. Okay, we're good. Harsh on the eyes. Question, Lucas. I'm thinking of leaving Schwab from their glitches. It cost me about 1,000 3 weeks ago, and maybe such a time, but IAB charges commission. Yeah, I've actually used Schwab for a long time. I'm actually using for my main account now. I'm actually pretty much all converted over. I think I'm all converted over now. Yeah, I'm converted over. I'm trying Thinkorswim. I'm actually enjoying Thinkorswim a lot. So. I would look into that. It's a pretty good platform, I would say, overall. It's a good platform. I still do my analysis on TradingView, but I do enjoy their platform a little bit. And then for my fun account, just so you're aware, for my fun account, I do use Robinhood for fun trades. Okay, for just little trades that I want to be like, oh, it's kind of like, I really like probabilities and gambling and that kind of thing, right? I don't gamble, by the way. I don't go to casinos. I haven't been in years. But I really like that. It kind of gives me something fun throughout my day just to be like, oh, is cost going to go to, $100 in the next couple of weeks? Let me buy some of that for a little bit when it just has one simple turn up, just kind of giving myself a little bit of freedom to cause myself to relax a bit and just like be willing to be like, I'm willing to lose $100 a week with my fun account or something like that, or $100 a month or something like that, just to kind of get it out of my system. But as far as it goes, I'm really enjoying Thinkorswim. And thank you again for the $10 here and the $20, of course. But I have used Schwab and I liked it. It's just when I was younger, I was using Schwab, and I was using Schwab for a very long time. And some of the commissions did eat away at some stuff, and then that's where I experienced a big investment loss. So I just was like, I'm using let me get a fresh start, use a different platform. But that was back in like 2014, 2015 maybe? I think it might have been 2018 actually. Where, in your opinion, be able to sell 4:30 a.m. before rest of majority to get out of a meme play before the rest trade at 6 a.m. Central Time, but have to pay the commissions? I mean, yeah, if you're able to sell earlier, especially if you're, just trading stocks back and forth, then I think that's obviously going to be useful. Me right now, I'm just doing, option plays. But for the most part, I would say if you are someone who is just trading stocks back and forth, and having more time is the better, right? Usually having more time is the better. It can allow you to make moves, especially if you have a large sum of money. It's just when you have a large sum of money, obviously that percentage eats into more money, right? You would say, but it is the same percentage across the way. I would just say if it is worth it to have more time. You don't necessarily need it, but then you're going to have to put some things in place to tell you, oh, okay, I need to manage the trade a little bit closer because I don't have that option. So if you don't have that option, then you really it can save you a few times, right? If we experience a big drop. But overall, I don't think it's like necessary, but I could see how it's very, very useful. So I would say if I was trading stocks, I would more so go back to that. I just haven't been trading stocks. I more so invest, and I will be investing like eventually again. But for the most part right now, I'm doing options. So that's more how I see it. But I think the more time you have, the better, right? If you're trading with stocks itself, then more time, the better. And you got to calculate, kind of look at the type of trades that you take and try to get like, oh, what's my average percentage that I make on a certain stock, and how much would that commission eat into it? And is that going to really benefit me more? I think that would be very helpful to do. As far as it goes with something like GME, it's great to do, right? If you have the ability to sell before everyone else with GME, or buy before everyone else with GME, I think that's a good thing. God, I keep freezing. Okay, sorry, Dallas wants to buy at 104.29 for NVIDIA. Let's go look at that real quick. I would more so say there's not really a support level in that. I would more so say something like a 95.63. You see that very important area here. There's a very big area, but very important area right in here that can hold you up. So that's where you most likely will experience a bigger bounce. But we have to wait. We have a lot of time till we get there. As of right now, you have a 2-hour curling up telling you positivity. So that's what I'd really be paying attention to. I'm cashed out, bought all puts. Okay, let's go look at the SPY. Is that really rotating down even on a 15-minute? And thank you again for the donation short Fridays. I just think it's a matter of, do you want more time for your trades? Like, do you want more time to be able to look at it? But just know you don't need it. I've done it plenty of times. I do not need more time. Having even regular trading hours, like regular market hours at the open, is enough time to make money in this market. It's just if you want that little bit of safety cushion, I think, or a ability to react earlier, I think that's where you have to kind of decide. Dude, I don't like my Thinkorswim. Oh, that's too bad. I'm enjoying it, so. They shook you out of the short. Ah, those bastards. Those bastards. Well, the short came in, right? But now you're immediately seeing kind of a long signal actually for this. So retail actually giving you some kind of divergence here. You notice that the direction here was down, right? Down like this. Now you've overall tapered, right? We've tapered sideways a little. So we'll see if that can turn up and go positive soon with that dip here. We'll really pay attention to it. And then see, that's a 15-minute though. Is it on the 30? Not necessarily the best, right? So you could just get a 30-minute bounce and make that stronger base. But yeah, for now, that's looking pretty ugly, right? Daily's looking like it could cross over. If that daily crosses over, that's going to be a bad deal. What did I do all weekend? So this weekend I actually bought my first AR-15. I kind of decked it out a little bit, and then I haven't gone shooting with it yet, but I actually took my wife shooting again. And we just kind of renting and trying out a bunch of smaller handguns for her so she can start getting comfortable if she needs to carry or something like that. But she we just have fun with it. Pretty much we drop baby girl at her abuela. She has a great time, and then we're like, hey, do you mind if we just like pop out for a little bit? We go shooting for an hour. It's a lot of fun. And then we visited my friend over at their place and had Ari's first kind of like play date. They have a baby that's about 11, I would say 11 months old. I think her birthday is like next month. And it's just a lot of fun. It's always good to just hang out with people. They made some great tacos. So they made some steak tacos that were really, really good. He had his grandma's salsa, which was really, really hot. And I love spicy food. So thank you for asking, because it was actually a great weekend. I mean, it's a great weekend. You go to a friend's house, your kid has a play date, you got wifey there, you're having a couple of drinks and playing a card game while eating some awesome tacos. And then the next day you wake up, you get to play with baby girl a little bit. We go over to Abuela's house for a little bit. We eat some lunch. We leave her there, and then we go to the shooting range for a while. And we get to try out like 3 or 4 different handguns to see what she's comfortable with. And I think that's just awesome. So it's just really fun. Like really overall in the last like month or so, you know, the range shooting has really turned into a solid hobby. And so what I did was I always wanted to be prepared for any situation. So I'm going to start, I acquired my first AR-15, and it was pretty fun, like to put it together a little bit. And then now I'm going to take that thing shooting. Yeah, there's a lot. Like obviously I'm not buying anything crazy because it's like my first one. So I want to make sure to get good with it, and then I'll upgrade as I go. Of course, my wife's like, oh, that's heavy. That's really heavy. That gun's heavy. Right now, a liberal's having a heart attack. No, I'm very safe with my gun, by the way, just so you're aware. Like I'm very, very safe about it. I'm always thinking like, you know, of where it is, what could be going on, is there one in the chamber, all that kind of stuff. But no, I'm actually self-teaching myself. So yeah, I'm self-teaching right now. I've shot before, but I've never took it seriously. So now that I'm taking it seriously, you start to see your like little things that are bad, That's right. The bad guys don't respect the gun and don't think about those things. If you're someone who owns a gun and you think about the safety of yourself and your family pretty much at all times, it does just blink in your brain at all times. Then you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be aware of what's going on. You're probably gonna be way safer than you think. So if you think you're not being safe enough, you're probably safer than the average person. But yeah, I have a friend who's a detective. He's been law enforcement for I think 10 years now. So I'm just gonna work with him a little bit to get a little bit better. Because once you start shooting and trying to take it seriously, you see your tiny little things that are off and you try to look at the little things, how you could get better. Like right now I'm pulling the trigger too aggressively, so it's turning my hand slightly. And so I have to really focus on hey, just really keep it simple, have a nice grip, and pull that trigger nice and easy. Short, you're going to short AMD. Okay, let's go look at AMD real quick because that thing is seeing a bounce up. Okay, so just be aware of that. Now the 30-minute has not crossed over yet. Has the 15-minute even crossed over yet? Well, it looks like it could soon. Maybe it needs to double dip into this zone, right? Create that strong base. At this point, you do have a pretty strong base. I'm not going to lie, and you're going positive. So really pay attention to that. Make sure you're managing your risk because at some point you could take out this high. Once you take out this high, you see the little micro in here. You have almost like a left shoulder. You have like a baseline right here across these highs. You see the head. If you dip down like this and you're not able to curl down on this 15-minute, maybe we just curl down for a second, boom, curls right back up. That's what I'd really be paying attention to as far as managing risk if you think there's going to be a downward move here. But if this crosses over, then that all looks good and you just manage the trade, right? 30-minute, if this thing crosses over, then you just manage the trade, and maybe we want to make a stronger base with a double bottom or something like that on a 30-minute. It's crazy though. I know you've said that before, Scott, and I'm like, holy crap, $5 freaking. Congratulations, because that is a fantastic trade. Like 30x. NVIDIA's pumping right now. So we're seeing, remember, this 30-minute divergence. Well, I want to say it's divergence just because look how straight across this is. It looks like divergence to me, and that is popping up. We did curl over on the 2-hour, telling you the most likely direction is up from here. So if you were paying attention very closely and you catch that little sneaky, I would say it's a very sneaky divergence, but it is there. You can see the double bottom. We kind of talked about it live last week, how we were trying to carve out that double bottom almost right in this area. So that is a solid move. You're going positive and you're not overbought yet. So that's telling you, as of right now, a 30-minute pullback, even the 2-hour might just keep bouncing. We always carry legally or illegally. I carry, I concealed carry everywhere pretty much. Anytime I'm with my girls, I'm carrying. I have a cute baby girl and a very cute wife, so I am by no means going to risk and the weird part is, whenever there's a dude, like an old dude in a truck or an old dude in a van, they all roll down their windows to say how cute our girl is. And I'm like, I know it's probably just people in Kansas are very nice. It's probably people being nice, but I'm just like, the one time it's not a nice guy and he pops out of the car and tries to do something, I don't want to be sitting there like I have no means to help by any means. So yeah, it's very important to me, but it's also just a really fun but useful hobby. And a cute gun. Well, I don't know, Glock 19. It's not the cutest gun in the world, but how's living in Kansas? I actually really enjoy it. So I was in, I've had a crazy life for the past year and a half. That's why you notice I'm busy all the time. It's very hard for me to keep up with it. People ask about a Discord. It's like, yeah, I just don't have a lot of time. Life's really just starting to settle down a little bit. And it's funny that life's starting to settle down a little bit. And it's like, I'm the busiest I've ever been. It's almost, we have crazy things happening in politics and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is settling down a little bit from about a year ago. Because a year ago, I think we were moving to Georgia in the summer, then we got pregnant, then we had to move back to Kansas because I just said, I'm not going to live in a city where there's a car accident every time I hit the street. There's a car accident and there's literally people pulled over all the time. I'm like, it's just not a safe area. So Kansas is a very safe place. I'm going to tell you that right now. Kansas is a very safe place that is very good, especially where I live, for education and things like that. We have a good private school education system here that doesn't go too hard into anything, I would say. They more so just make sure to teach your kid what they need to know, and I think that's very cool. So I really respect this area, and I would say I took it for granted until, I would say, for a kid. If you're single or something like that, I would say, hey, it's maybe not the best place to be, right? But Kansas City is plenty of fun. Oh, so you can carry in your cart. Yeah, there's rules to everything. It's so strange. In Kansas, I like the rule. It's pretty much like if you're over the age of 21, you can concealed carry pretty much anything, except for automatic rifles. Yeah, KC's fun. My brother lived there. I played soccer there plenty. KC's a great city. I live in one of the smaller cities, but it's still nice. I like that it's chill. But if you're like single, it can be too chill, right? It can be a little too chill. Let's go chefs. Tesla, yeah, we can look at that. Oh yeah, I was a semi-pro. I almost played for the New York Red Bulls. I dislocated both my shoulders, so that stopped my soccer career. So like all the mentality and focus that I used to use in soccer when I was really trying to become a pro, and I like was on the fast path to do it, like out of nowhere it started to happen just because I took it as seriously as possible. Then I got injured and I had to drive 16 hours home in a sling because my shoulder was out for 4 hours, so I couldn't play anymore. Everything was ripped apart. Yeah, it was awful. But I put all that energy back into stocks, and that's really helped me. Now let's go look at Tesla real quick. So it just shows that whatever you put your energy into, if you really, really focus on it, and you focus kind of on like, what advice you would get from your future self. Like if people want to be like, oh, I wish my future self would just tell me what to do here. It's like maybe they are, and maybe you just need to think like, what would they tell you? Because they would tell you like, hey, keep moving forward. They would tell you, hey, you can do this type of thing. And maybe you have to seriously look at it and be like, would your future self be saying, do something else, right? It's all good stuff. Now, as of right now, I say that all the time. But if the 2 hour can curl up here for Tesla, that's really what you're paying attention to. I know it takes time to happen, but this 30-minute, if that curls down, you should expect negativity. If the 2 hour can curl up, that'd be positivity. Watch out for earnings. It's a 50-50 flip. If you wanted to say what's my largest I've ever done, or what I'm holding now, because right now I'm not necessarily holding a swing trade for the upside just yet. I'm technically playing the SPY. Technically I'm playing the SPY because I'm shorting volatility. That's my biggest trade going on right now. Yeah, BK, try to keep it simple, right? Try to keep it as simple as possible and really watch out for those earnings. Yeah, currently it'd be technically I am shorting volatility. So if you want to think about that a little bit deeper, I need the SPY to go up. And it's still going. And my trade looks great. Dow Jones trying to see some kind of bounce here. Yeah, so as long as this goes, if this can curl up on the 2 hour, my trade looks fantastic. Yeah, I'm a very diligent profit taker, but there was one time where I think I took a swing play. This is how quick it can happen. I took like a 2 hour and a 30-minute divergence. They were at the same time. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take this. I took it, and there was no earnings or anything, but they like announced something the next day. And I'm pretty sure the stock went up I think it was like the stock went up 14% in one day. And I made like 400% off my option play in like a matter of hours. I took it at the end of the last day, and then an hour into the open, I took profit. I think I made like, it was like one of my earlier positions. So I think it was like a gain of 14.5K in like a matter of hours from not a big position. Like not a terribly big position. I think it was like 2,500, maybe 3,000. That was one of the craziest trades. That was one of the trades where I woke up and I was just smiling and I just shut off everything and I was like, well, I'm gonna go have a good day now. I'm gonna go to lunch. I'm gonna do all this stuff. I always try to do that. If I make an amazing trade, I just really try to reset and have some gratitude and treat myself and be like, you did good. You deserve a reward. And you still thinking rug pull on the way down? Well, it's just for AMD. We want to see if things are curling back down, right? We want to see if things are curling back down. This looks like flagging for the most part, right? When you see the wicks, we're not necessarily seeing these dramatic bars like over here. See how they just got a little dramatic? We didn't really have wicks. Now you're having almost like price action like this that could lead to these little bounces. So the problem with that is these little bounces now, regardless from over here, you see the wicks. That was very negative. Over here, you're going positive and you do have some structure. I think Biden most likely will say something, but I think it'll more so just be like Kamala can do the job type of behavior, right? But I wouldn't expect it. Like he could just go away and I wouldn't be surprised. I would just think the better political move would be to actually address the people that you say you work for, which you clearly don't. You clearly don't. He clearly does not work for you guys, just so you're aware. It's so clear, it's insane. But you vote for whoever you want to vote for. But I'm just saying, like, if you can take anything away from Biden and you think there's going to be a big change with Kamala, it's just going to be worse. Actually, it might like, pretty much how it works out is like, okay, so Hillary at the DNC, I think she has a good shot. I actually think they're going to replace Kamala with Hillary at the DNC or something along those lines. Before the election, we will see Hillary Clinton pop her head up. I think that would make a lot of sense if you're going to have some deep state involved in the like front line. They're involved. And then you would say if Kamala's there, it's just another puppet. CRM Diana? Ooh, let's see. Did we have some signals for this? Just a 30-minute curl up. So 30-minute curls up. 2 hour just now curling up. Wow. Wow. Ooh, did you have like some kind of divergence right here? Not really. Not a ton of divergence there either. Just curling up. Trying to go pause. Trying to get back above that 200. Solid move. 30-minute curled up and just never looked back. Well, actually, it looked back for a little bit and then it curled up right here, and then you see that positivity. We'll see. It's already overbought. Not a lot. Wouldn't that be crazy though, Scott? QQQ is up, yes. Very good. Very, very good. We like to see it. We like to see these things right now. Wait, spicy avocados here? How high do you think GME and AMC will go if they squeeze? What kind of squeeze, Trevor? Trevor, please tell me, do you think gamma squeeze? Are you saying gamma squeeze or the short squeeze? Like after the gamma squeeze could lead into a short squeeze, how high? And it really depends on the narrative. Let me know, gamma squeeze or short squeeze. That's a big difference. The one everyone's waiting for. Okay. So as far as GameStop goes, if we just look at the monthly chart, I would really expect if you're going to see that moment really happen, you're at least going to see something like 93.46. But if you're talking about the overall like moment, we don't know how much money is behind this. You don't know how high this could go. So technically, if no one were to sell, this is very difficult, but MOAS, right, would be if we're actually able to have a lot of people hold, right? The majority of people hold throughout the entire time. Now you'd have to say, where could that be? Where's that point where people say, that's where I really want to make my money? Is it $200? Is it $300? Most likely it's a very obvious number like 200, 300, 400. But if you can hold through all that, if most people can hold through all that, that's like, I would say if 80% of people can hold throughout all of that, if you're experiencing something crazy, then you start to leak into, oh, this thing could actually go to 1,000 and up. Okay, so I think there is potential to get to 1,000, but you notice it really involves a bunch of people doing the same thing at the same time and also being offered money. It's kind of like that show where it's like, hey, you could sell right now for this, or go one more and possibly make triple that. That's kind of what I see going on here. And so it's more so about if people can hold and if the shorts are covering that you'll see the big move. And if you do see that, you can get above $1,000. All right, there you go. The odds that we can truly short squeeze in GME or AMC, like, is it truly possible, or do the big money maker or market makers just tell the CEOs not to do stock offerings? I would just say this. So even if they did a stock offering 10 times, it still wouldn't take care of the problem. Even if they did a stock offering maybe 50 times, it still wouldn't take care of the problem if they use those same amounts. They have put billions and billions of billions. Some companies, I believe, have put $100 billion or more into shorting the stock. Okay, so that is something to really pay attention to, because that means if the company can just produce any kind of profitability and keep paying off their debt, well, now the stock is worth something. So, and it's not failing if they're able to pay their bills at that point when it comes to AMC, and GME is the same way. They can go into their thing with cash on hand. So it immediately is this. I'm just going to tell you this right now. It's 100% probable as long as one thing stays the same. It's 100% probable as long as people hold. As long as people hold and the company makes money, if the company shows improvement and people hold, it will 100% happen. The question is when. When will it happen? We don't know if they're out of money. We don't know any of those things. We can see signs that they seem to be struggling. But the overall thing you just need to really know about this, and this is why I really like my friend who talks about it. He goes, so when do you think it'll happen? I'm like, no idea. Do you think it'll happen? 100%. As long as people hold the stock. That's it. That's it. Because here's the thing, when they do a stock offering, people are still buying GME like crazy. Institutions are just starting to buy GME for real. So you're just going to see those stocks eaten up by other people. Will GME do an offering? No, they're sitting on cash. The one that could do an offering again would be AMC. But AMC, you kind of would say on the business side of things, it's really improving. And so if they actually could do a stock offering again, that really would put a damper on the stock for a little bit. But that would cause more maybe institutions to get involved and allow AMC to pay down their debt. If AMC can get rid of their debt, they're looking almost as pretty as GME on the business side of things. And I believe that the real problem is happening 10 times bigger on AMC. I actually believe that. I think that this is the main problem, AMC. And the reason that I believe that is because GME is at $25. And if we look way in the past, okay, this got all the way down to what? $9.92. If we look at AMC, this got all the way down to $2.37. They were almost done with the job. Right? They were almost done. They were like, we got this. It is going to zero. Now it's not. It is double where that was at. So that tells me if they really wanted to focus on a stock and maybe they were really trying to push it down to zero, it would be AMC because it's closer to zero. But if enough people can hold, if say everyone that's holding right now just holds more and things like that, holds everything, then it is almost 100% certain that that would happen unless you see something absolutely rigged happen, or they're able to keep printing money and keep stealing money away from. They can't steal money away from retail forever in the stock market, by the way, because people will run out of money eventually, right? And they will stop trading. So eventually when that does happen, if it took the longest amount of time, that's what they would do. They would take all the money possible from retail traders and fight this because it is that big of a problem. Oh, my bad. I was just talking, Trevor. But it is. That's it. If you really think about it to the simplest level, one thing about shooting that's really opened my eyes is how important just your grip is, and how important where your palm is, how important pulling that trigger without moving where you are aiming, how important it is to focus on the sight. So if we just break it down to the most simple things, it's if 90% of the stock is held by retail, then the stock eventually will head up because there's not selling. They would have to sell all those shares to send it to zero. They're not going to. So therefore, once they run out of money to suppress the stock, you're going to most likely see an explosive move. We just don't know how long that would take. Yes, and yeah, we mentioned that a little bit. Yeah, so what you need to think of with stock offerings is more so, is it going to make the business better? If the business gets better, it helps even more. So it's, does that move allow short sellers to buy stocks to then, actually have those shares, not be naked shorting anymore? Okay, awesome. That's fine, because it's not a large enough amount to take away the actual problem. There's hundreds of billions of dollars suppressing AMC, and I think there might be hundreds of billions of dollars suppressing GME at the same time. That's what I think. And if that is true, then them offering, even what, millions of shares is not going to really solve their problem. They're going to have those offerings multiple times, and GME is most likely not going to do another offering because they are already cash in hand. AMC could. And so what you want to think about the AMC is they have to make the business better, right? Because that will cause institutions to come in. So actually a stock offering can damper on the stock a little bit, but it overall is a good sign that institutions are going to be buying into this for the most part, especially if it gets eaten up right away. So you want to think of it more like that. And is the stock offering going to solve the problem? Sure. If AMC sold $150 billion worth of shares and really did that, right? If they diluted that amount, then yes, that potentially could cause a problem, right? But at the same time, will that happen? No, they don't need to sell 150, they don't have to dilute 150 billion shares. If they did that, they'd have way too much money on hand, right? Or I guess it wouldn't be 150 billion shares. It'd probably be like 50 billion shares. But yeah, that's all you need to know. If you pull it down to basics of stock market behavior, supply and demand, well, if 90% of the people are willing to hold the stock and more people buy in, then the stock should go up. Much appreciated. Hey, much appreciated for the $5. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Hell yeah. Yeah, it's good to just like think back to basics a little bit every once in a while, right? Just be like, hey, what's the basics of the stock market? Well, if a bunch of people are willing to hold the stock and then the business does better and that causes more people to buy into the stock, well, then the stock should go up. That's how the stock market is supposed to behave, right? And it still does to a point, but you have market makers that do silly little tricks to trick the price to go to certain levels. You have algorithms that they can trick to push the price to certain levels. That's what you're experiencing with GME and AMC, but it does cost money to do that. So once they run out of money, which could be any time, that could be 5 years from now. We don't know. I think it's happening a little quicker than last time, actually. I think we're going to see it very soon. I actually think we might see it after we see some kind of 2-hour pop and drop. I think that's a good timing because it would really fake people out. Everyone thinks a bigger move is coming, and then we see that weakness and we fade down, and then we see GME and AMC start to pop over the next few weeks. And AMC does have earnings coming out soon, so earnings will be a big deal for AMC. But thank you again, Short Fridays, for the $5, for all the donations today. Really appreciate it. Yes, and Ryan Cohen is less likely. And all you have to do to think about that is like, which company's in debt, which company's not in debt, right? Which company's in debt, which company's not in debt now? Well, the company in debt is the one more likely to dilute the shares a little bit. But if they did that and they got rid of their debt, look how everyone talks about GME now that they've diluted and got rid of their debt. Look how they talk about them. It's a very positive thing, actually, right? Now, I mean, obviously not the main media, but people who actually look genuinely at a business and say, that is a business with $4 billion in cash. That is the opposite of debt, pretty much. So you would say that is a very strong thing because they were using the debt as a negative. So if you're using the debt as a negative, then what is the opposite of debt? A surplus of cash. They have a surplus of cash, so that is a positive thing. That's it. AMC has debt, not a lot of cash. So if they would dilute to flip that, it actually would be a better looking business. My opinion. That's why it's always tomorrow until it isn't. Yeah, it kind of is. Now, we can do little things. We can still pay attention to times that are a little important, right? So we can pay attention to times where we see cross-ups on daily MACDs and stuff like that, because that could be the momentum turning up. Don't think we can't pay attention to the signals for this stuff, but we can. And so you really want to pay attention to those signals, just like every other stock. Right now, you're not seeing the best signals in the world, right? You have a 2-hour that's still crossed down for AMC. You have a 2-hour that's still crossed down for GME, but look at this, we're starting to see some green. So once you start to see even these little signals turn up, if those can go positive, we start to cross on bigger time frame, you're going to see the move with all those signals. Don't think that this move will not happen and you won't see a MACD crossed up on a 30-minute, a 2-hour, and a daily chart, because that's exactly how these indicators work. They curl up on the 30-minute, then they curl up on the 2-hour, then they curl up on the daily. But we're trying to find weakness and momentum where those things are more probable for the bigger time frames. So here you're seeing a curl up of the 30-minute. What's the most likely thing going on here? A bounce. If we curl up the 2-hour, then we're seeing a bigger move from the 2-hour. So then we want to pay attention to the daily, see if that can curl up. We kind of go up the line. But if this 30-minute were to bounce up and then curl right back down, well, then we would know, okay, we're in a negative trend. Maybe we need to make a stronger base before we see that bounce. You see a divergence, boom, good solid move there. I mean, just look in the past, right? If we look in the past, we can see these points where we pretty much have like little divergences, right, between these levels. You see that. And what happened afterwards? Well, just like a stock is supposed to, it went up after giving that momentum. And it didn't really curl back down on the 2-hour, so it kept going. So we see the divergence down here. We see the buy zone. We see this area right here that looks nice and juicy. We take back all those moving averages. We never curl back down on the 2-hour, so up. And then we curl back down on the 2-hour and we go, uh-oh, that's where we know, ooh, we're going to experience a pullback. You have a shot put and it's going up, like your value is going up, but the stock's, oh, yeah, I have shot. Ooh, that's a little 30-minute curl down, isn't it? Yeah, 30-minute curl down. No, it might not even make divergence here. We might be seeing a more dramatic thing down, actually. We'll see, but that's not really going to make a divergence for your RSI. 2-hour just pointing down. Daily crossed over, so you actually had daily divergence here as well, just barely. Not really on the RSI, but from this point across you do, and right here you do. So right there, this bar said most likely heading down. Now you're starting to go negative on the daily, so that is not a good sign for Shopify right now. We'll look back in maybe a day or so and see if the signals are a little different. Yeah, some stuff are dropping fast now, but I would say more so pay attention to things like this. This is not curled down anymore for Palantir, which means, hey, now you don't have that signal of a daily pullback. That was really likely a little bit ago. Now you want to see, is this 30-minute able to curl up, right? So we always need to be trading like water, paying attention to the signals and managing that risk, because it might mean you're right, your timing's just a little bit off here. What if this just pops up for a brief moment and then goes like that? That's the more the moment, better position. But you might say if it's a longer out position, if it's a few months out, that's not the worst thing in the world for a daily pullback to come within those 3 months. Just pay attention if things start curling up on 2 hours and things like that if you're doing it right. You don't want to get caught up in that stuff, but 2-hour really rejecting here. So we'll see if that can turn up. That's still positive territory. Positive things can happen. Apple puts. Apple really looked like it wanted to cross up. It's just weird for it to do this pop-up and kind of hold above that level of 225.84 and then not do something, right? I mean, did this stay pretty even? Yeah, it's staying pretty even there. So now you want to pay attention to your structure, right? So if this is able to cross down to here, maybe we get some kind of bounce up and then that like turns back down. That would almost be like a little liquidity grab to head lower. So we'll pay attention to that. But for the most part, it's just if that 30-minute crosses down, it means no positivity until it curls back up. So you think Netflix maybe, with that sentiment, would you say Netflix At least I'm just trying to understand a little bit more about what you're saying there, no assumption. Would you say this is more leaning towards some kind of trap forming if you think institutions are not involved in the buying for Netflix? Because if this is like a 2-hour trap now, as we've curled up on the 2-hour, then we might see like a 30-minute divergence in this play, right? We see that 30-minute divergence go up, and then we see that 2-hour rotate back down. So you think this is strong retail with these type of bars. Interesting. Okay, I get you. Now, what's other stuff doing? Because if these are bouncing, we'll see if Chewy or something like that. Yeah, bounced up for a second, gave it up, maybe making a stronger base. Let's look around at some stuff here. Trying to bounce, a little bit risky there. Oh, what's the other one? I know there's like G-Wave and FFIE. Ooh, divergence here at the low for FFIE. That can reverse around this trend. Let's look at this 2 hours. Is that pretty deep? It's as deep as last time. So you can keep coiling up here. See if you can break through some trend here. Or says betting on bullish price action. Market makers are actively absorbing the buying with shorts, and they're not about charity, so they'll send the price back down. Yeah, it might be a big trap is what I kind of thought you were saying. I wonder what time frame that trap will be on, though, as far as Netflix goes, because you are getting the 2 hour to turn up, so I wonder if that happens for a little bit longer, you know what I mean? Yeah, and I think that's what we experienced last week, so I'm looking for if they make a rigged move higher and then rip that away again, you know what I mean? So I want to see, I think they needed to see if they could make enough money to pay for the problem. And now we could just see the 2 hour curl up. We could see that keep going, right? Don't take that out of the equation either. We could just keep going. But that might be led by another big drop, and then we go up again, and then we get another big drop. Like I said, just take all the money from retail away, as much as you can, to pay for the problem. No, there's no trap. That's what I'm saying. Oh, they're covering short positions, is what you're saying. You're saying they may send it lower, cover the short positions? I guess that would make some sense, right? Send one little drop like this, cover those short positions or something like that, and then send it higher. As that 2 hour does curl up, you just get one little bar like that down for a second, curl back up, like a 30-minute, keep sending it, dip back down, or dip back down real quick and then send it. Kind of cover those short positions. I think I get what you're saying. Big stretch. All right, we're holding above that daily expected move again for the SPY. This is what you want to see to break through a daily expected move or a weekly expected move when you see that consolidation in front. So if we head up to here and we see some solid consolidation, right? We head up to higher levels, we kind of do this, well, then you would say, uh-oh, that might be a little cup with a handle. Then we want to see what we have from there. But as of right now, consolidating by it or even just slightly on top of it is pretty good sign that you're going to see some positivity through it as long as you get that breakout candle. IWM is flying, soaring. Now I gotta update these as well. Let me update these for you guys real quick. Let me take a zoom out here real quick. 2 hours still positive for IWM, so IWM could still experience that positivity. There you go. Okay, so if we do see that curl up on the 2 hour, you want to see, like, right, does a divergence form here? That's a signal you can pay attention to. It's very easy to see when it does happen, but you want to be ready to react. So if that did push up to this level and curl back down, that might just confirm some kind of divergence right here, and that's where we would want to pay attention to overall downside for IWM. But that doesn't have to form, it's just something I would pay attention to. Remember that if you cross up here, that means positivity and you can see a bullish move. And then we're just paying attention to signs of weakness in case we want to get out of that upward position and start saying there's going to be a reversal. Then we want to pay attention to the signals on the way down. But yeah, IWM looking kind of fun here. I'm just waiting for these bars to print. We got about 28 minutes. I pissed gold. I sold IWM, made some money. Hey, congratulations. Good morning! Anything on Meta? Meta overall is already curled up on the 2 hour, trying to see that bounce. We're looking at the 30-minute here, seeing some divergence on the RSI, so we could experience some kind of pullback if this thing crosses over. But as of right now, it's pointing up. You see the gap up. Okay, pointing up, not too overbought. You do have the divergence on the RSI, nothing on the MACD, and you are pretty high up in positive territory. That 2 hour has crossed. So if this remains crossed, then you're still in that 2 hour bounce. Now, one thing I just wanted to draw up here for you guys real quick is we are still in some sort of flagging pattern here. Now, it's probably not going to be the cleanest in the world, right? But you can see how we're pretty controlled heading up. So anytime that this really crosses through this area, you're going to cross over on this MACD, and it could mean negativity. So that would mean that 2 hour bounce is most likely over for a little bit until we curl back up. If we need to make a stronger base here, which I'm kind of leaning towards, is if Meta actually drops down to lower levels, goes and tests that 453.08. I think that's a great level to pay attention to. If you thought kidney stones hurt, drink lots of water. AMD is still waiting to see what's going to happen here. It looks like we're still compiling up. I need to get my weekly expected moves up. We can see a strong move here. We can get above 160.83 this week. We have a lot of implied volatility everywhere, guys. So there will be some big moves. But if everything's curling up on the 2 hour, then you got to say the SPY most likely does curl up on the 2 hour, right? Even if we get that 30 minutes to pull back, we'll see. The Q's really looking like they want to do something here. You see that 30-minute really piling up right before you go positive. Very key. Right before you go positive. If we get a strong green bar that takes us positive, boom, we could see an upward move. Maybe we want to doodle around all day, and then at the end of the day, just see a dink up like that, and then we cross back up here, go up towards that weekly expected upside tomorrow. That would be very interesting. I'm going to look real quick at data because I believe we have, that's it. We have GDP on Thursday. GDP on Thursday. Not only do we have to manage our way around a lot of earnings, we also have to look at that GDP growth rate. We have a crazy few weeks ahead of us. Bitcoin, there you go. All right, remember Bitcoin, this was that 4 hour divergence we were talking about. You pretty much have triple divergence here, so that is turning down. Look for that daily if that's going to want to cross here, because that 4 hour divergence can cross that daily scale over, and then we want to pay close attention to the 2 hour signal when that does cross. I'm going to really pay attention to that 2 hour to see if we get some kind of higher low, or if we're just going to keep going. If I see no weakness in momentum, then you'll probably just keep going. Taking back the 20. I think a rug pull is coming at the end of the day. I mean, we did have this buying up from here. I'd see if that 2 hour can cross up. As of right now, it looks like a little bit of a lower high. If I just cut this in half, maybe go with an hourly, you'll see how if that rotates down, it can go negative. The dollar would actually come down with that. Some people might say cup and handle, but this overall, this could just be double bottom. I wouldn't necessarily say cup and handle because we did come through the chunk of it. You really want that to be a rounded out, no real price action going too high here to get that structure. We can still pay attention to it. This is still a potential here for like, hey, we're going to break out, retest that breakout area, and then go with that double bottom. But for now, we're just saying, hey, if that hourly curls over, bad news. If that hourly can remain positive, still good for the dollar, which would tell us the sell-off is more likely. But if that does turn down on the hourly, it looks like you may bounce even a little bit higher. Volatility is going down dramatically, down 7.93%. So that just tells me, hey, if this thing is down by 10%, then that means there's an 85% chance for a down day in the SPY in the next 2 trading sessions. We'll pay attention to it. Actually, for the most part, 30-minute was pulling back, turned down a little bit more dramatic. Now, see if that's able to curl up, because a lot of the time with things like Oxy and oil stocks, you'll see these big dips down, right? Big dips down, maybe because of the futures market, who knows? But at this point, you're down at that level where you had a big dip down. And if you do curl back, a lot of the time, you just see that thing go up. So let's kind of zoom out on this for a second, though. Let's go to a 4-hour chart and see what the signals look like, because I think 4 hours are the most important. And what do you notice here from the 4-hour? Well, we do have some sort of flagging going on here. Just so you're aware, for Oxy, it looks like we have some flagging going on in this area. If we kind of clone these, you'll kind of start to see, we just cut out that one wick right there. Well, we're starting to see some stuff, but let's include it. Just to include that highest price action, we could see how we're pretty controlled here. So if we wanted to drop down, well, you would go to this area, you'd see some kind of bounce up, and then you would lose that. Okay, so for now, the 4-hour, if that curls down and crosses here, well, you can start to think about, hey, do we have that big of a pullback? If that doesn't reverse right away, then we might be going negative and going lower after this flagging. So that's something I would pay attention to. Another one would be a little bit of the daily scale. If that starts to turn down, you're losing the 200, you're losing that trend line, you're probably gonna go at least test these lows down here. But as of right now, that is a higher low. So you are starting that uptrend. So what we want to see from here is if this 2-hour can remain down here for a bit and curl up, that would mean more positivity in the move. I'm just trying to explain a lot of things for you to pay attention to. The main one right now to pay attention to is the 2-hour pullback, and you want to see if that 4-hour is able to cross just yet. CVX we haven't looked at, then we'll take a peek over at DJT for a second, but Chevron giving a similar thing here, right? 2-hour pulling back as of right now. So you're in a 2-hour pullback. Do we see reversal signals? Not necessarily. So you do have a chance to get a little bounce or consolidation and then see if you make that stronger base. Really look for those stronger bases on 30 minutes, guys. This is a market where you can really pay attention to those signals, and they play out at least for bigger bounces because volatility is higher. DJ Tizzle. Trying to curl up on the 30-minute. Still within range of going positive. Now, you were overall saying the daily chart almost to positive territory. Very, very close, but it's not. So you really want to pay attention to your signals in here. If you start to break through this trend, we might end up in that zone we were talking about way over here. When we started to experience this dip, people were saying, how low do you think we can go? I go, you can go all the way down to like $17. We could do that if this daily crosses down. So just pay attention to that going forward. Now, in the near price action though, you just want to see, is the 2-hour able to curl up? That's an important signal. As of right now, you're just saying, hey, is this 30-minute even going to give us some kind of bounce to possibly go positive and curl up that 2-hour? So this is not looking the best as of right now. We can see hourly is probably the one to really look at to give you that in between the 30 and the 2-hour. Really just looking at the hourly here, seeing, hey, can I take back all these moving averages, right? That's all we're talking about here. You take back all these moving averages, that's a pretty bullish looking momentum, because you're going to curl up this MACD. You're going to get above the center line on the RSI, and you're going to curl up above all those moving averages. That's the signal I would be waiting for. Stocks look rough, like all around. I'm just trying to figure out the bouncing going on. Ooh, 2-hour multiple points. So multiple point divergence here for the 2-hour. Still, I would say trying to stay within this tapering we got right here. So we're trying to stay within it, see if that 2-hour can curl back up. You've been beat up for a long time. Lulu's still looking a little bit good there. Looking at the daily scale, you might be making another point of divergence right there for the daily scale. You see it, it's very small, but you see the tiny up. You see the tiny up on the RSI over there. So you do have it. If this daily can curl up like that, that would be a bullish move, right? It would say, hey, some kind of bounce is going to come, and then I would watch out around that earnings if all that adds up, right? You have to see 2 hours curling up. You have to see these things actually curling up and going positive to remain in the trade at that point. So just really pay attention to your risk. It's a good time to just manage your risk very closely if you have the time. SPY just dropped $1 in a minute. Well, let's go look at volatility. Volatility might be able to help us out with this. Okay, so if we're going to experience more volatility, then this 30-minute can curl up and go positive, right? So if we're going to experience extreme volatility, most likely this 30-minute curls up by the end of the day. But 2 hours still saying pullback for this. That has crossed up on the 4 there. Let's see if that's a retest. Okay, so we're not getting the breakout candle to the upside. We're still sitting in this tiny little range for the Qs. Cool. Go over here for a brief moment. That's crazy. That is crazy to be the president and drop out with just like a memo and an email or some shit, or like a Twitter post. That's crazy to me. Like, imagine if you just like emailed your boss and quit. They'd probably flip. They'd probably flip out. You just email and be like, yeah, not showing up today. It's like, it's just unprofessional, but. Apple really giving it up. Pay attention if these things start to cross. It means more negativity. We got a bounce. That is a solid bounce. There might be more to be had. We'll see. Things need to curl up. These 2 hours are curling up. Be aware of that. This is a swing trade signal for Microsoft. This is a swing trade signal for Google. Swing trade signal for even Meta was back here. AMD, not quite getting it yet. Not quite there. You need some more price action from AMD, from Amazon. Nvidia pretty much has it now, and that's about to post in 15 minutes. So I would expect some slowing down now that we've had that retail hour. It's been a little crazy. Now they really slow things down by the end of the day. Be nice in the chat, guys. We don't need fighting. We have enough of a fight going on with a rigged market. I don't have a mod, so I have to do all this stuff myself. I don't want to have to put people in timeout, all right? You have a difference in opinion, that's perfectly fine. Follow your signals, do your trade how you want to do it. You're clicking the buttons, manage that trade. JK, it was 2 weeks notice. Oh yeah, 2 weeks notice is like fine, as long as you're giving them the 2 weeks. But like, also my thinking on 2 week notices is so like indifferent now, because I know how little companies actually care about their employees. Like, they just do not give a shit. So I was like, if they're going to fire you, most of the time they don't give you a 2 week notice. Now, I've been very good at my work, and so like, I don't think I've ever been fired. But I know people that have been fired in places that I've worked, and I do this a lot when I work places. Like, in the past, if I've had a job somewhere, what I do is I more so vet, like, is the company good? How do they treat their employees, kind of thing. And the last place I work does give you like a solid 2 weeks to know, like, hey, yeah, you need to, you can still, find another job or something like that. I think that's perfectly fine. That's what you get a lot in like selling. Like, if you're in sales, you'll hear that a lot. But thankfully, I've never had to go through that. But I at least respect the fact that when they're like, hey, yeah, you're not meeting your quota or something like that. So you have about 2 weeks left. I think that's fine. It just ruins your motivation though. So what I'm more getting at is like, most companies don't care about you. So if you want to quit and start something new and give your, like, you want to start a business or something like that and you have the means to do it, then you just have to 100% go into it. And that might involve just being like, hey, I'm out of here. PayPal. Hey, cut it out. Seriously, who cares? Guys, it's stocks. Just take each other's opinions in and play your trade, you know what I'm saying? I don't listen to anyone when I take a trade. I'm just like, cool, you think I'm wrong? Cool, we'll see. Like, just it's all right. It's not that deep. Well, I think the bad part is the way you think about the election in the stock market is like, I think either way we're going to crash down. Now, that's because of two things. If Trump gets in and we do not have some like funky behavior, so there's kind of two things. Like if Trump gets in, he's going to fix the short seller problem and all that kind of thing. He's already threatened a little bit to do that to Ken Griffin. So that could really hurt the market. If he's not going to keep printing money, that could really hurt the market. There won't be any more growth. If he's actually going to make the changes he is, it would lead us into a deflationary period, which is what we need, but that causes unemployment. So we could see some major downside in the market. Okay, that's if he just takes care of the problem, but I think that's almost the best case scenario. The other case scenario is they, meaning maybe the party that is currently in control and the deep state, could in fact just make the market take a total dump. So it's a dumpster fire. Everything goes haywire. There's a lot of chaos, and he can't fix the problem with the policies that he was going to implement. That's probably the worst case situation. But I think it's either way, the market will correct itself, and we will see a deflationary period. IWM, do I think it would get back to 226? Right now, your highest level to look for is what's inside this range right here. So the top side could be 223.29. Now, I do think actually 226 is possible because most of the time when you see, let's just do it on an hourly so you see it really thin and clean here, how that thing's about to turn up. If you're going to see an hourly divergence, a lot of the time you'll go past this by a little bit. So maybe even 228 or something like that and really create that divergence, really create something that has some downside to it with that divergence. Now I'm just thinking of that as far as profit taking goes. You would just more so say, hey, 223.29 is as high up as they expect it to go. So if it gets above there, I'll just say, hey, I'm lucky, that's awesome. And then that thing will maybe come back down with divergence. But that is where you can see something crazy. So something that I believe someone in the chat was discussing was they saw the big move and they just said, hey, I made money. And then they leave, they take profit and they leave some runners. And it did keep printing for them. So I really like to hear when people are making money in trades. Yeah, so if it depends on the overall crash scenario is actually more so would be due to that problem if that's going to happen. But if it's because Donald Trump is going to come in and change how things work and not allow, say, naked short selling or clamp down on Ken Griffin manipulating the market, well, then you would say, then he's going to say, you're not going to manipulate the market anymore. If he doesn't manipulate the market anymore, then those short sellers are in a lot of trouble because now it's supply and demand. And if enough people buy into GME and AMC, which there already is enough people, then you would say, okay, the short sellers aren't allowed to force the stock down anymore. Ken Griffin isn't allowed to manipulate the price. So now we'll see what really AMC and GME are priced at. One key rep's like showing little kitty. I think we have probably a chance for a 15-minute bounce here. We'll see from volatility. It's SPY starting to give up a little bit. Q's starting to give up a little bit, kind of do some funky stuff here. Let's look at the 5 minute now because we should be having a pullback in this area. You see the little double top on the 5 minute there. But we are technically still in a pullback. I think even watching a 5 turn up is good for right now. See if that's able to cross up, because if that crosses up one time, you get above these highs, now you're going to probably see something crazy. We'll pay attention to it. Who has earnings? What company? Oh god, I could look it up, but I'm just lazy. What's the big earnings? Is there big earnings today? Damn it, I'm gonna have to pull it up. I'm gonna have to pull up the Wispas. All right. Calendar. Pick some bank and health stocks. Okay. And tomorrow, tomorrow we have Tesla, Google, Alphabet, Enphase, Visa. Some investment groups. Wow, okay, so we have Tesla, Alphabet, Enphase, Visa tomorrow. That's kind of crazy, dude. This is gonna be a crazy market, man. I'm down. It's fun. SPWR. It's been getting clobbered. At 53 cents, I really want to hold. So that's a 5 minute chart. Let's look at this 30-minute perspective. Right now, you're seeing that 30-minute bounce. This is what you overall want to see in a dramatic downturn, okay? You do want to at least see a 30-minute bounce. You have to admit to yourself that the direction looks down from here, doesn't it? It's looked down for a long time. So if this does bounce up and curl down at any time, you know that, hey, that's not going to be the moment, and you could actually head lower down below or towards where you have that price point at before you get that divergence. So if you're crossed up on this MACD for the 30-minute, it's okay for now. You just really want to pay attention if that starts to roll down. That would not be a good thing. You see the 2 hour just pointing straight down, so not a good sign. Now, if that 30-minute keeps going up and you see this 2 hour cross up, then you can play that 2 hour momentum, right? But earnings around the corner, just be cautious with it. I see it's dramatically down. Everything is pointing straight down, so you can't say much bullishness about this. All you would say is you're getting some kind of 30-minute bounce as of right now. What do I have up on my other screen? So usually I have my other charts, which just have the same charts that I show you guys, just with weekly ranges on them pretty much. They do not have daily. I don't keep daily ranges on those charts because my trading strategy is not a day-to-day thing. If I need to pay attention to it, I'm looking at it with you guys for the most part, but to trade, I don't use those daily expected moves very often. And then I also have my weekly ranges list just in case I need to find that real quick, or I don't want to look at the chart or something like that. I find that real quick. I'll have Twitter up just to like blink over at, see what's trending for a second and look back. And then I'll also have maybe like some days I'll have up like if there's events happening, like someone speaking or a lot of data drops, I'll have the economics data. Other than that, that's pretty much it on this. And then I have my trading platforms on a whole different setup behind me. Bonjour. Barclay said SPWR is essentially cooked as a business. It looks cooked, doesn't it? It looks cooked, and I don't. Wait a second. It did see a big run up. Does this have a short seller problem in it? You gotta tell me if it has a short seller problem in it. If it does, then you just need enough people to hold the stock, but people aren't holding that stock. So if their business isn't looking good, then institutions won't get involved. That's a lot of selling. You gotta wait for those signals to turn up on like 2 hours and dailies to see any kind of meaningful bounce, to be honest. TLT is dropping fast. Okay, so that means these yields have recovered and are breaking to the upside. We see that they're breaking to the upside. We see the 2 hour divergence down here, which leads to TLT breaking down. Okay, so have we seen it break down? Yes, we have, and that is still heading down. So if that heads down, that might be smart money saying something there. HYG still positive as of right now, so we'll see that happen. See what happens with that. We're starting to see a little bit more downside here, really breaking below that flagging. We're still looking maybe even at a 5 minute, just seeing if this can keep consolidating. Ooh, it's not really consolidating, but if it did turn up here, you would have that structure, right? You would have the left head, right shoulder, at least some kind of liquidity grab right over here. That would look pretty nice, but as of right now, if you keep curling down 15 minute, if that curls down, you're right by negative territory, and most likely you're making a stronger base. So this 30 minute could curl down for a brief moment. Maybe you get a double bottom or something, but that would not be a good sign. We're going to see volatility be able to turn up at the same time if that happens. So that would mean negativity going forward from there. To show weekly ranges, I have a spreadsheet, which I have the calculation done throughout all of it. And then I just plug in all the numbers. It's made my life so much easier. I used to do the calculation just raw every time on my computer. And then I was like, why am I doing this? I can just make a spreadsheet. So I have a spreadsheet and I do the calculations there. Then I print them up and pretty much I take a picture of them and I'll put them on Patreon if you want to see them. I have one for Palantir if you're trading that, AMD if you're trading that. We have all of those down in the description, $7 a month to get that right now. And then going forward though, with what else is done with those is I put them on the chart to give you for the SPY and the Qs completely free every single week. So if you're new here, you're thinking about subscribing, every single Sunday I will give you those weekly expected moves for the SPY and the Qs. Every single day I'll give you the daily expected moves on YouTube, and every single month I'll give you the monthly moves on the SPY and the Qs. But you'll get all of that info for all the other stocks in the description under Patreon. Okay, Patreon description there. So so if you go look and you click on that Patreon link, now for a daily expected move for every stock that we cover on this channel, you're more so just going to see that on Thursday nights, because Friday you need that expiration to calculate. So for Friday we can give you those daily expected moves. Other than that, we give you the monthly, the weekly, all that good stuff. And we are coming up into the end of a month, so we'll have completely new monthly expected moves coming out in about a week or so, a little bit over a week. So it's a good time still. Towards the end of every month, I always start to say it's a great time to join, because you're going to get that little piece of data right away. All right, someone's saying Apple is done. Apple is crossing down pretty fast, able to cross down on the 15 minutes. So this is the structure you're looking for. Now you might see some kind of little bounce. We'll pay attention to it to see if we get just like one tiny little bounce to grab liquidity. But if they grabbed enough here, that might just be over. Still watching the 30 minute to cross down, but that is a very bearish thing to happen there for Apple at this moment. And then someone said, I thought someone said another one was coming down pretty good. Let's click through. See if NVIDIA turns down. See if AMD turns down. That could be negative, take you into the zone, and then look for that divergence again. Meta, see if that turns down. Now you have divergence for Meta here. You have divergence on a 15 minute that can roll over your hourly. So downside, maybe we're going to go down to 453. Microsoft turning down as well. Google not looking as weak, and Netflix not looking as weak, but we're seeing AMC and GME turn down too. Good segue for the Patreon. It's helpful. I mean, the thing is, like, you guys realize as a trader how excited I was when I figured out like exactly what weekly ranges were, how to use them, and how to calculate them. Do you know how excited I was? I was pumped. So like you should go into that Patreon and be like, I'm pumped because I have a tool that not a lot of people really use or know how to use. And so if you have that, that's great, but knowing how to use it is even better. And that's the course in the description. That's the $100 course right now. I thought it would be kind of hypocritical. I always said if volatility starts to go higher, I'm going to leave the $100 course at $100, 90% off. So as volatility started to go higher, I almost put that back up to 200. And I was like, wait, that's the complete opposite of what I said. I said volatility goes higher, I'll leave it at $100 as long as it remains high. So that is in the description. You can learn a little bit about those ranges and how to use them, and I'll give you a strategy for it. And one of those strategies is right here. I'm playing it. Lucas's ranges are the best I have seen. They work way better than Thinkorswim's. Yes, Thinkorswim is probably just doing, like, if you made it the simple way, how we teach you to do it the simple way for any stock. We'll teach you that in the course for the $100 course down there, the how to trade in any market. That one is more so going to be something similar to that, which Thinkorswim is just a little bit off. And if you do the Robinhood method that I teach you in my fun account in the course, well, then that's going to be just a little bit off. So if you want it to be direct, you can go look up that calculation. I'm not hiding it by any means, but if you would like to get just the ones that we cover and you don't want to do the calculation every week, it does take a little bit of time. Yeah, then Patreon might be for you. You just got to know how to use it. It's kind of like, oh, I got a sick new wrench. I have no idea how to use it. I have a brand new smart TV and I've never had one and I have no idea how to use it. Well, you got to learn to use it, right? Anything that you get that's kind of new, you have to learn how to use. The same thing goes with if you find a new useful tool as far as trading goes. Dollar's starting to scale up. We're going to see if that 2-hour curls up. Is this all the bounce that we are going to get? Looks like we might need to make that stronger base. Oof, really dropping down here for the Qs and the SPY. So now it looks like we may head lower, actually. Maybe make that divergence on the 30-minute, right? Make a clear cut one, and then we'll see. Now I do have to leave in about 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes longer. So if there's a stock you would like me to look at real quick, put it in the chat. I'm down to look at some stocks for 10 more minutes and then I have to leave for the day. I have my buddy's wedding this week, so we have a lot of stuff to do. I think I have to go get myself my suit fitted and that kind of thing. Let's go look at Apple. Okay, so we're starting to bounce back. So that's why I like the 30 minutes, by the way. The 30 minutes going to be a little bit better confirmation. We see the 15-minute, we see the level here, we see this, and we're going straight to it. So if we look, this would maybe be a baseline here, right? We'd maybe have that baseline straight across, if I could draw straight for once, and then see that actually bounce up and then fade back down. We'll see if that structure proves itself. That looks pretty likely at this point, but you are turning down on the 15-minute. The only thing is you haven't curled on the 30. I really like 30-minute curlovers better, but you notice you're not oversold by any means, so we can see a downward move if that were to happen. NVIDIA, what do I think is coming this week? Well, it did curl up on that 2-hour chart, right? But it kind of wasn't the best looking bar, but it is still a positive bar. Don't take the wick too much into consideration here. You obviously you have to think about it a little, be like, oh, that's a lot of selling that caused that wick. But overall, that bar was up 2.4% and crossed up the MACD. So the most likely scenario is you're experiencing a bounce and you want to see how high that could take you. That 125 level could come as important. Looking over at the 30-minute, if that would curl down, then you know that 2-hour has a good likelihood to turn down as well. What is LMT again? Okay, that's getting some rejection there on the 30-minute. Okay, so that's going to really start to curl over this 2 hour. You're in a 2 hour pullback and you're not able to confirm the move higher on the 30 minutes. So if that continues to reject, that's going to be a bad sign. If you really want to look at it, you'll see the 15-minute curling up by the center line, 15-minute curls down, then you make a divergence, then you might see that 30-minute pop. But right now, you just have flagging leading into a curl down into negative territory, and you weren't very oversold the last time. So that would just tell me, hey, if I curl down right here, that means some big momentum, and you're already seeing that drop. So right now you have like two of the signals right here for the 15-minute. It's a small time frame. Keep that in mind. Things can change quickly, but it could actually take out this low and go make a new one here for Lockheed Martin. And that would make sense because you're in a 2 hour pullback, right? Now, I still think the bigger likelihood is, yeah, that 15-minute curls down, but if this 2 hour can just keep curling down, funking around for a little bit, and then turn back up, well, then that might just turn back up into positive territory. As far as semiconductors go, I think that that's one of the bubbles we have in our market today, but I still think that they have a chance to see some rips here. We'll pay attention to it. I think you have a good likelihood for a lower high from something like TSM. So, and something like NVIDIA. We've already gotten a lower high for NVIDIA. I think you might get another one. So we really want to see if this 2 hour can turn up. Are we seeing signals that could turn up the 2 hour? Yes, you are. You're seeing all the divergences down here. You've tapered, right? So we came straight down. Then we taper a little bit, then we taper completely sideways. That's a good sign. You just need that to really go positive here. And one thing that would really help you out is seeing this 2 hour curl up. If this can just go boop like that, well, then that might be enough to curl up this 2 hour and you might be in that 2 hour bounce for a little bit. Then you want to look for weakness in that move on the 30-minute for the 2 hour to manage your risk. Yeah, let's go pop over back to this SPY for a moment here. Seeing the 2 hour not able to curl up as of right now, still remaining above the 9 on the 2 hour, so that's interesting. But the 30-minute, if that crosses over, not good news. I would even say if the 15-minute crosses over, that's not good news. So I think you need to hold up like right now. So we're going to watch this full bar right here with you. I think you need to curl up now or in the next 30 minutes. Yeah, and this might be it, right? We're looking for that bull trap, honestly. That's the first thing we have to say. Is it going to be a bull trap? That's kind of the question of this stream, and I want to hear your guys' opinions, and I think a lot of your opinions are leading towards, hey, this looks like the bull trap here. So we have to see, is this the bull trap, or are we going to get a bull trap, right, on the SPY, on the 15-minute that leads into a bear trap that then leads to a divergence that then gives you a bigger bull trap, right? And then we start to pull back down. That would all be very crazy behavior, but notice the crazy behavior, because the crazy behavior is what's going to really tell you, hey, things aren't looking good. This is looking like bear market behavior. So as of right now, you're seeing these rip arounds. That is some bear market behavior. As far as Bitcoin goes, we saw the 4 hour divergence leading to the downturn. Now we have to see if that's going to prove by crossing over on the daily scale. It's very close to crossing, right? It's very close to the center line if it crosses. So you want to see if, like, on the 4 hour, you see a pullback here. Because if you look at the 4 hour, it's still a little bit far from that center line. So if you did just kind of move sideways a little bit, maybe base out, go touch that 50 as it comes up, then you use that as support to turn higher anytime this curls up. That's going to be a good thing. Okay, so if we even go all the way down into a 2 hour to really see what the signals look like now, you're just in that 2 hour pullback mode. You do have divergence, but you're not going negative just yet. So if that were to turn back up, you do have the potential for another move higher. But will that be very high, or are we just going to make another point of divergence right here that gets you right next to that center line? That would be a solid trade setup. If everything proves itself, if everything confirms, that would be solid. Yes, exactly, Laws, and that's what I'm trying to get at. I think now you're going to see, like, oh, a 30-minute trap, a 30-minute trap, a 2 hour trap, a 2 hour trap, a daily trap. Uh-oh, things are crashing, right? But that can take a couple of weeks, a few weeks to really pan out. And the funny thing, if it did take a couple of weeks, is that would be right around AMC earnings. Yeah, we'll just see. And they don't have to, Steve, right? They don't have to do any of those moves. We more so want to say, okay, So what do we need to pay attention to? Well, if you want to really dumb it down and say not look into the future, you would just say if this 30-minute crosses over, bad things will happen. And then if you're like, hey, a really bad thing happens, you're in the right move, right? Because you're paying attention to the signals. So it's more so just like keeping future scenarios in mind. If those future scenarios play out, you need to react. But if you're just going to turn down and keep going down, then you're already in that move. Right, we want to see if the SPY can curl over on this 30-minute. One thing that might be a good hint of that is if this 30-minute for the volatility is able to turn back up. So we'll pay attention to that going forward. We'll see if the market starts to think like, oh yeah, we're going to add shorts to the market. We'll see if this PCC can get up a little bit higher. But look at that bounce, though. That's a solid bounce from the SPY. Like, by no means is that a weak bounce. You're up 1% at one point. That's a pretty good bounce. But look, daily expected move comes into play. We'll see. Okay, Qs, we're gonna watch you for another, actually I'm gonna stay on just a little bit longer here, just to watch this for the next bar. I think I wanna watch this with you guys. I don't wanna take off just yet because I wanna see what happens. This is actually a very important signal here, if that can confirm. So I wanna watch this for the next 15 minutes with you guys. I hope that's okay. Oh, I'll also have some news stuff up too every once in a while. Like I'll be looking at, sometimes I'll have up, oh, this, like the Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle is testifying right now on the Trump shooting. So let me listen into this for a sec. Oh, they always say nothing. Like, this is like, you know, where everyone just puts their tail between their legs and say, oh, I don't recall, I don't know. Like inverse head and shoulders, you kind of went past that point a little bit, but you could be dipping down. This is where you'd want to get to really gain some buyers back here. That's why I want to watch it for 15 more minutes. As far as the SPY goes, you're kind of in a better spot, right? You're coming up into these wicks up in here, and then you're dipping back down. So you do have some inverse signal here, but I don't necessarily want to call it like a clean head and shoulders, but I could see the argument. The important part here is I want you to see this. If I do this and I go like that, I want you to see where these wicks come in, how we gap above that almost trend line right there. That's like resist. So you could be breaking that trend, getting a retest, right? And then you start to head up. So do you see how I'm like really wanting to pay attention to now, just because I don't need to draw those things all the time. I can see the angle of it and be like, oh, we gapped above that, cool. But I wanted to draw it out for you guys. You see how we gapped above this almost downtrend we had with these highs over here. And now we're gapping above that, and maybe we carve out some kind of lower high. That's something to pay attention to. And you can even like go into this and we can look at a 5-minute chart. We can see how that's by the center line. And this is why we know like, hey, the next 15 minutes are really important. If this starts to go negative, then that 15-minute is really turning down then. And if this is actually able to turn up and go positive, then we would say, okay, now we're seeing some upward price action from the 5-minute, and maybe this was all just like a cup and handle, right? Maybe this is all cupping from here and we just go whoop. Now we're consolidating to break through this level. So key level right there. We could doodle around for a lot of the day and then turn back up, cross down, turn back up, and it could take all the way into the end of the day with this 5-minute chart. So I'm just paying attention, seeing what's going on. I think the next 15 minutes are really important to see if this thing can start turning back up. GDP will drop. Yeah, GDP will come out as of right now, just so you're aware. of what that's supposed to come in at. It's actually supposed to come in at 1.9 to 2.5, which would be an increase from the previous. So if we keep seeing downside before Thursday, and then we see some very good numbers from GDP, we have to see if people just say like, hey, at least we're not in a recession, right? Those numbers aren't negative is what they're going to take that as. So, okay, now we're not seeing that 5-minute curl back up. So this can turn us down, and we can have some problems with this going forward. And we're gonna see this turn up on the 30-minute, maybe even first. I wonder if 15-minute, yeah, see 15-minute about to curl up for the volatility here. That might be all the pullback volatility gets. That'd be kind of crazy. I think the 15-minute is what I want to watch for these things. It's literally like moment of truth on this 15-minute bar. Because if that just sees more negativity here, then the direction would be down. One sec, I'm just grabbing something. Sorry, I had to hold a cute little baby for a second. What's the daily for the SPY? 481.18 was the daily, and look how we come back below that. So for the downside now, 469.30. So you did head up towards that expected move. You consolidated like you wanted to break through, and then we break the downside, and now we're starting to flush. At least that's for the Qs, I'm sorry. But the SPY, same area, 553.01. So same type of thing happening here, where you were trying to consolidate, and then now you're trying to break through that bottom wick. So this is where we really need to see if that 15-minute is pulling down. KRE we looked at a little bit ago. This one here, you're seeing some divergence actually at the lows for the 15, and the 30-minute has crossed up. So that means positivity for the 30-minute is here. And we'll pay attention to anytime that rolls back down, if it's close to that center line. If it goes up, we can say, hey, what if there's a divergence? But a lot of the time you can see that divergence, prove another one in the shorter time frame. So over here, we see how that would be a dramatic divergence. So we have to pay attention to it, but you could see that make like a little scoop up and down. That way you see that divergence in the near price action, because that's a little bit spread out. But I would still pay attention if you see that 30-minute pop, and then you see that really have some weakness on the RSI, like we just barely get to overbought, and then you see that weakness, you could see some kind of double top or something. So really pay attention to it. But these type of banks, they will be in a lot of trouble soon. So you want to be paying attention to those reversal type signals, even if it's a 2-hour chart, right? You see that pulling down. If that curls up for a moment, really pay attention if that curls down, if we have divergence on the 30-minute in that move, because that means that these are looking a little bit weak. Obviously, it just means there's potential for weakness, right? We used to say that all the time. We used to say it's not just that the weakness in momentum means big drops. This isn't a bear market just yet. If this was a bear market, then you can just drop, right? You can just see those big swings. But if we're going to be still in this bullish market, which everything's still in a daily bullish trend, okay, then we need to pay attention to if we're creating those divergences and if something has some bad news with that divergence, and then that causes a reaction. A lot of the time it's like, hey, look at the setup before GDP. oh, we're seeing a reversal signal before GDP comes out. GDP comes out and is bullish for the market. Okay, those signals just turn right back up and they weren't what you, then you have to react. But if we see, oh, we see those signals and GDP comes out bad for the market, that signal will really tell you like, hey, there is potential here for some weakness now. And now you want to react to the fact that you have that signal and you got bad news. You can see a bigger flush. Yeah, I don't think KRE will be very good. I mean, just that selling from Berkshire Hathaway, 1.4 billion shares of Bank of America should be enough to really be like, oof, that's going to be some trouble, right? All right, 10:51. She was coming down because I'm supposed to be doing something else right now, but I wanted to watch this with you guys for just a second longer here. Not as big of a crowd as we usually have in here. Unlucky, unfortunate. Hopefully everyone's all right out there. Make sure to like the video as you on your way out. But gold, oil, tech, Bitcoin, everything is in a bubble. You are right about that. I think you're about to get one of the best buying opportunities in history. But the world might get a little chaotic if it happens in a certain way. All right, look at this. Now we're seeing some green. Let's see if this rejects. Oh yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if they do another bailout, we're just continuing the problem. So any crash we get, I'd really pay attention to weekly divergence or some kind of monthly turning up like in 2020, right? Because if you go all the way back to 2020 on a monthly chart and you just look at it and you're like, whoa, just look at it. You're like, whoa, that was a crazy signal we got in 2020, and that was a great investment signal. So this is what you want to pay attention to with bailouts and stuff, is just see that monthly chart turn up. Boom, great investment, right? You can look at this on pretty much any big stock, any of the Mag 7. I would really pay attention because they experience dramatic weakness, and then they turn up on the next bar, and boom, positivity. So this is where you're down on those type of things, because if they're bailing out these banks, then it's going to be more money being printed. It means more of the problem, more of the same. Maybe we would have the best oil buying opportunity in history. Not necessarily oil, I'm just saying like everything. Like everything will most likely be the best buying opportunity. And then unless we bail out banks very quickly, if you start to bail out banks and stuff like that very quickly, then you might not see that dramatic downside like we did in 2020. That's why I wanted to point it out. 2020, we were really flash crashing, and it should have kept going. But what do? We bailed out the entire system, printed a ton of money, and in a bailout, that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's happening in a bailout. So even if you want to go all the way back to, say, 2008 or something like that, well, you're going to see we went down, down, down. They bail out the banks. We curl up on this monthly chart and everything's all dandy again, right? Everything's all good again. Oh, here we go. Oh, curl down, curl back up. Oh, we're good to go. Oh, curl down, curl back up. Oh, we're good to go. So that's what's going to go on if we actually see a bailout. If you want America to reset and get back to what it's supposed to be and be back and have no inflation and stop seeing prices go up every single year, you're going to need to not bail out those banks. And that's a very, very scary thing to do because it can cause some real big things to happen in the economy. It can cause a lot of unemployment and no more free money. But that's the point. You're kicking the can down the road. Eventually, that can's going to fall off a cliff and you won't be able to kick it anymore. But oil, it can be a similar thing with oil, right? So what'd you notice in 2020? What happened to oil? Big dip down, right? And then what? Well, it curled up on the monthly scale and it never really looked back. It never crossed back down. So boom. Look at gold? Let's look at gold real quick. All right, let's look towards 2020. We saw a little bit of the opposite, right? We saw this start to tick up. But what actually happened was in March, what happened? Gold actually dipped down in March. When the COVID crash was happening, gold did dip down all the way to 136, but it didn't curl down on this MACD, so boom, more positivity. Then we curl down, we pop up, oh, boom, manage the trade, get back in, manage the trade, get back in, positivity. So Bitcoin, you want to talk about Bitcoin? All right, well, let's look. Let's look back in March of 2020. We had a 24% drop in a little wick down here that took you all the way down to $4,000. That curled up, free money. That's what happens when you get free money into the system, and that's what a bailout does. Like, I'm guessing if we were able to go all the way back, if I went on my Coinbase or something like that, or something that's recorded this a long time, then I could probably see what happened in 2008 to Bitcoin. And I'm guessing it went from $70 to $20, and then it went all the way back up. Shorted TLT. Well, the thing about getting a higher GDP is that it's going to make TLT go down, right? So if you can read into what they're estimating the GDP comes out as, well, that would be bigger than last time. So you could be seeing some negative price action for TLT just because of that alone. But more so it's, hey, this curled over, it had some divergence up here, and it's turning down. So managing risk in this trade. This was one of my trades that I had to manage risk in as of right now. Oh yeah, SPY, 15-minute. That's what we need to watch here, guys. Look. Look, are we going to reject? That's what I said. I was like, this is why I wanted to stay on just a little bit longer, just to see if this rejects. I might even stay just another 5 minutes after this bar is done. So now you want to see volatility. Is this it? Well, this might reject at the same time, right? 30-minute, is that going to cross up? That's the main signal. 30-minute, is that going to cross down? That's the main signal. That's the main signal. Right now, we're starting to reject on the 15-minute, so we'll see what happens from here. All right. Actually, unfortunately, guys, I do have to go. But thank you guys so much for joining. First of all, there are links down in the description to get all those tools. First thing. Second thing is I guess the first thing is thank you for being here. You guys show up every single morning. You like the video. You guys are awesome. We get to talk about stocks. It's a lot of fun. We talk about other things too. Talk about all the election drama and that kind of thing. And I've thought about putting out some content that's more around that style of things, looking into elections and how we're going to react, what really would affect the market. I've been looking into that, so I might add that into some Saturday videos. Just give a little bit of a breakdown of what I see going on politically and how that could overall affect the market or other kind of fundamental things that I think are important to take into consideration, obviously on the macro side of things. But I did want to stick around for just a little bit longer to watch this, because this is the time where you really want to see, is a rejection going to happen? And so this is a good thing to pay attention to at this point. And I encourage you to keep trading like water, because this market will start to rip around. There's a lot of implied volatility in the market, and so you have to be aware of these things. If you don't know how to be aware of what's going on with your MACD and RSI, you need to take one of those courses, at least one of them. Get a basis in these indicators. They will really help you out, whether it's swing trading or the slightly more advanced course being the how to trade in any market. Like, what I truly believe you need to know in order to trade in any market is what is in that $100 course. But if you want to start off with swing trading, it's very beginner friendly. You can take that for $50 right now. It's literally, both courses are 90% off. Get them while they last, because right now I'm just thinking about doing that till the end of the month. If volatility remains higher, I will leave that one course at $100, even though it is a lot of info to take in. That will be a huge sale for that, and we'll keep that as long as volatility is high. I want anyone to be able to learn how to trade when more volatility is there. So overall though, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I need to get me some lunch. I need to go hang out with the girls for a little bit, and then I will be back later today with a YouTube video for you and get you those daily expected moves. If you need the weekly moves, there's Patreon down in the description. All right, guys, so thank you so much for joining today. Really appreciate it. I can't say it enough. I try to say it 100 times at the end of the video, because it is your time, and I respect your time, and I hope that today you were able to learn a little bit of something and I was helpful. So thank you, guys. Have a great day, all right? Make sure to have some fun. Make sure to eat some good food. Go to the gym. Do whatever you got to do to really treat yourself at least a little bit. Dedicate something to at least remaining healthy, right? Eating some good food. Going to the gym. That's what I'm planning on doing today, and I encourage you to do the same while managing your risk in your trades. So I love you guys. Hope you guys have a good day. Peace. Short Fridays, more like short Mondays. No. All right, see you guys.